Welcome back, friends, to SI 2023, and we get ready for our last matchup of this first half of the day. It'll be the split for survival after this too, as we focused on the lower bracket. Demo and XR Troika, Ollie, join me on the analyst desk. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. I tell you what, I hope that Alems has brought that big brain of his today for this fixture.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully Shaiko's found his, as according to the video.
Well, it's more in the hands from Shaiko, as you've seen, and we have a bingo card to fill out, so we can say the hello to BDS and Liquid in one way. Let's bring up the team rosters, because I don't want my face to be on camera for this one. Thank you very much. Jack already has enough firepower for this. So, bonjour, comment allez-vous? C'est BDS qui joue maintenant. Mes chers compatriotes français. Of course, we're Team Liquid. How do we say? Olá! Olá! Como vai? Tudo bem? That's how you would say it. This is my rendition of how you would say it in Brazilian Portuguese. I'm so sorry to have insulted a massive amount of people in the world. We all know it as Brazilian. It's not Portuguese anymore. Sorry, Portugal, but it has to be said. That's now 3 languages. We still have one more to use to complete the 4. So you guys, I guess you'll have to pick it as we go. But let's start talking about our teams. Who has production picked to go first? Go ahead. I'll leave it to you. Liquid. Oh, all right, Liquid. Good. Let's start off then with our Brazilian team. Because when they came in, we had a lot of questions. And we were thinking, who would be the person to step up and say, mea culpa? There's the 4th one. That is what language? It's a dead one. Sorry.
Latin?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. I mean, it's a fair guess, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah. But the mea culpa was Liquid were just not feeling it, and they are in here now, at least having a couple of days off between Sunday and yesterday demo. So how do you figure their chances are for today? Yeah,
disappointing tournament from all regards, I think, from Liquid, where they were at the major to where they are now. Massive drop-off, huge drop-off, and it shouldn't be happening. They should be up there. We should be sitting here confirming, yeah, we'll see them in the main stage. We're not, finishing 4th, losing the Wolves, losing to everyone except the APAC side. A lot of worries, I think, for Liquid at the moment. They're just struggling to find themselves, Ollie.
Liquid are in a bit of a dark patch, and it's uncharacteristic to have to actually say that about this team, because usually they are at the top. But at the moment, we are waiting for somebody to stand head and shoulders above the rest and be counted, because nobody is really performing here on this Liquid side.
And it is tough seeing Palu also impacted so much emotionally. We know him as a super emotional player on the team, but I'm also asking myself, what did Demo ask this squad, and what did they respond in preparation for their playoffs?
About the team's performance in the group stage, I feel a little bit sad because it was not what we were expecting. We thought we could do better. Like, we did a pretty good job in the last year in the major and on the Brazilian finals, but like in this tournament, like, we're not feeling that good, playing that good. The next game is against W7M or BDS. Like, I think we're gonna face BDS because W7M is a really good squad. The expectations to play against BDS, it's gonna be a really tough match. Like, we played in the finals in the last few months against them, and we screened against them in this tournament too. So yeah, it's gonna feel like it's a revenge for us. So I'm happy that playing against them. In playoffs, the things that we need to improve is like our mental. Like, we're doing okay in the strategic part, but we need to improve our mental, our feeling like we're not comfortable playing. So it's that part. The mental is the main thing to things get better in the tournament for us. In my opinion, the biggest threat in playoffs is probably Sonics. Like, we play against them, so we feel how they play, and it was a really difficult match. So I think they are a good team, and W7M too. I think they are like a really solid team in 2022. They did a really good year. So in playoffs, we are preparing a little bit different. Like, we are focused more in scrim against other teams and playing more the game, because like, we lost a lot of rounds, like 3v3s, 3v2s, and that's like hurts a lot. So yeah, that's our focus. Practice a little bit more to get better results right now. For the teams that are coming to the lower bracket, I'm happy that you guys coming together. Like, we have not to lose, so enjoy, and it's gonna be a good match.
And that was it from Lagonas. Thanks so much, Demo, for that interview with all of our teams on Sunday. But now, what's the preparation in your mind, Demolat?
Well, I think they expected this game. I think they expected to see BDS here today. Obviously, they've had a 2-day break. They would have, I'm sure, been watching very closely that BDS and W7M matchup. It's a familiar matchup. They have played against each other so many times over the, past 2 or 3 years now that both these sides have been really competing at the top level. So yeah, it's going to be a familiar matchup for them. And you think about it, this was a final 3 months ago, and now we're sending one home. It's insane to think about.
The fact that we're sending one of these two teams home today is absolutely mental. We've got a Liquid graphic here on the screen. This is a comparison that we wanted to make between Liquid's performance at the Major and Liquid's performance to date at Six Invitational 2023. And, well, you can see from the graphic yourselves that there is a general feel of underperforming here on the side of Liquid.
Yeah, the kills aren't there, and that's strange to say whenever you've got Nesk and Pauly being the all-time kill record in this game. The clutches, the 1vx's for me, Ollie, is the standout. I mean, Brazil are always a region that we know are just clutch meisters. You think about NIP's historic run in SI21, how many clutches? Every single round they had was a clutch. Clutches win you the big moments. They're the ones that win you the big games, and they haven't been doing it here at this event.
The one that stands out for me there is Plants as well. There's a distinct lack of Plants. Obviously, the Youngford Major and Six Invitational, they're not the same event, so there's different levels there, but there's still a similar amount of time that these stats are taken over.
Now we look at Liquid's opponents, BDS. Of course, we know them from Jönköping. Just to tie it back to the graphic, the winners of the event, both teams going up against one another, a big rematch of our grand final. And here, BDS actually were forced into a game against W7M that nobody really expects most teams to win. What happens here? What happened with the squad?
I think it's a weird one, Ollie, because if you think about it, there's not much of a difference. There's not much of a difference if you look at the stats. I think it's just BDS have just been unlucky to not get the wins, I think, for them this tourney.
I think it's a combination of things. I think there's a little bit of luck involved. You've always got to have a little bit of lady luck on your side. And then you've also got to look at the teams and the general quality of Siege that we've been seeing. Yesterday was one of the best days of Siege that I can remember ever watching. The quality is really up there at the moment. Yeah. And people are going to start catching teams like BDS. It doesn't really make you too surprised. They're not by far and away ahead of anyone else at the minute.
I think Shaiko is probably the most consistent guy that we have. We have to talk about Shaiko. He is probably the reason why they'll win today. I think everyone else is really struggling to find their form. I think EFAC right there on your screen. I think we know he can do better than what he's been doing. I'm not saying it's been a bad performance, but it's the standard that we've seen week in, week out during EUL, Milos. It's not the same.
He put himself at really that high level of expectations. Though our map veto for this series, what does it look like with a 9-map pool? 4 bans left with Liquid on Chalet, BDS on Club, and finally Liquid on Theme Park. And Oregon banned BDS. Ollie?
This map veto for me was fascinating. I was looking through it and taking a look at not only the things that got banned in the first, but more importantly, that first pick from Liquid. We're getting into a situation here where these games mean so much. We're sending one team home here today, which is crazy to think that we lose either BDS or Liquid. In terms of the maps, Liquid, they love a little bit of the old Chalet. And it's no surprise that that is why they have picked Chalet. BDS, they are more on the sort of hated side of Chalet as a map. It's one of their maps that they really don't seem to play too much. A little bit of hate going in there. On the flip side, you look at the Clubhouse pick. Clubhouse, for me, it's a map that Liquid love to hide. It's almost their permaban. They played it a couple of times in Jönköping. They played it here against M&M inside of the group stage, and they lost it, but it is a map that they do like to keep very close to the chest, and that just goes to show how big an occasion and how big a matchup this is for both these two teams.
Theme Park Decider. That is a map that Liquid have shown. Liquid have, I think they beat Direwolves on it. BDS have not shown at this event. They've kept it hidden. This is an interesting one to see BDS and Theme Park.
Who gets eliminated? That's all I need.
One of these two teams, Milos, it's going to be either Liquid or it's going to be BDS.
Our lobby's ready. Start the game already.
I think Liquid's going.
Going back home?
Press the button. We've got some hard games here today on this test, Milos. Me and Demo are really good getting our hearts pulled in every single direction.
You got the one with the EU and the Brazilian team. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's toss it then to Flugenhap for BDS v Liquid.
Thank you very much, Milos, and the rest of the desk, of course. Yes, it is going to be that rebuild of the finals, but this time one goes home and the other does not right away lift the trophy.
Spicy, spicy, spicy. We come off the back of two other favorites hitting heads, and this time, well, we might have two more favorites and only one of them progressing to after, I guess, a disappointing day for BDS yesterday. You can say this sort of same thing of Liquid's whole tournament here. They need to have a resurgence. We're better than the lower bracket.
It's going to be the only place they can go for a resurgence. Otherwise, they are headed home. Map 1 will soon start. As you can see on your screens, Chalet and its bomb sites. It's going to be the first battleground. It's going to be BDS that starts off onto their defense. And as an honor of it, I'll quickly pull up statistics. Over the last year, they have played Chalet a total of 6 times. Won it 3 times, lost it thrice as well. One of them was against Lost One, Space Station, and Heroic. The wins was against Heroic, Elevate, and Empire. Now, that's a name that isn't around anymore. So, that's for BDS. Liquid, they've played it a whole lot more, 11 times in total, won it 6 times out of that. So, a pretty 50-50 map for both of these in terms of the actual results. It's just that one team likes it a lot more than the other.
I think, okay, goodbye Alibi. Targeting there, the removal of you just cut away a lot on the left and the right of the screen. You just have to ban Ash and Alibi, and there's so many ranked stars that are just like,
why?
Damn it. Zami as well. I think this is in line with good bans for this tournament. I think this is in line with the focus that needs to be paid and the sort of attention to their opponents, to each other's teams, and then we go from here.
We move on from here, indeed, and Bar seems to become the first staging area. As we'll quickly look over those last 10 players for last time. Again, one of these is going to go home. And the winner is going to go up against M&M, a team that went flawless through groups, hadn't dropped a single map. And they are also fighting for survival, because their first day in playoffs did not bode well for them.
Well, that's sort of it, but you also have to look at how things work. So if you're unfamiliar with the sort of pick selection of who hit heads with who, yesterday, only the top 2 seeds were actually able to choose who they wanted to go against. Because of the sorting system, you have to play somebody in a different group. There has to be changes. They cannot just go from, you know, the 1 and 2, or the 2 and 3 even of one group into the 2 and 3 hitting heads immediately. So BDS ended up with W7M. Which, considering it's W7M and considering the year that they've had and considering they were the top seed of the whole tournament, that wasn't an easy fight. It went a long way, and well, this might not. Alems finds Ask, Nesk finds EFAC.
Very early double kill coming through here.
You could say that.
Just a bit of aggression, just a bit of explosiveness to start off with. EFAC being gone, let's hope that he put up all of his EDDs. Be creating a bit of a smaller opening on the snowmobile garage there by not actually putting the R-Series hero on it, just to provide a bit of insecurities towards the defenders who are playing down there, if they are, and not putting yourself in too much danger for a potential run out that could happen later on, because they would have to crouch through. It takes a bit more time, gives you about half a second extra to reply. Paulo going up to the rappel onto the balcony. Looking long, actually going up to the roof, so is Nesk. Bit of a reformulation coming around from the Liquid players. There might be some pace right behind this as well.
Well, we talked about how powerful these maps can be. In Chalet, we haven't seen a huge amount of it from BDS. It's had a bit of a showing inside group stages so far. It was a fight against Lost One. It was the sort of make and break of the final. Ooh, slipped on by. The final map, it went all the way into OT. We've had a win and a loss throughout groups from the side of Liquid. They suffered the wrong end of a 4-7 versus Sonics, but then sort of Transdival was on at 7-3.
Not at stake here. It's like we had in our previous game where FaZe got eliminated. It's BDS now looking to do the same as their European counterparts. Of course, very early on in the best of 3. Grenade used to get rid of the Aruni gate. E1D pops, and that means some amount of pressure should be coming down right now from Liquid over the top, as they are moving a lot, but all completely blind as well. No kill coming on the back of it. But a lot of ground has been gained. They have cleared out that top floor. Now they can start going down towards the bar and the gaming area. Whilst there is still some pressure about a potential player being downstairs and coming up for a flank, you see the drones being set up for it.
Yeah, watched on the camera, the flashes round, they don't get swung on as of yet. They're popping some attention downwards, but they've got to see if they can try and make the break happen. Renshiro caught by resets from above. Lagona's getting the hot drone intel on Brede, finally spots it. Alem's watching the back end to make sure they don't entirely swing their way through. They're still, that vertical on top floor is causing big problems. Shaiko, he's tempted to rotate his way back in. Brede gets the double inside the site and sort of holds off the round. Balu gets one end to it, but without the diffuser and with the 2 remaining BDS players stacked up on the bottom of blue, BDS with the perfect start.
Brede holding on to the site well there, picking up those 2 crucial kills to take out all the wind that could have been in the sails of Team Liquid on that initial push. They find the first. Their energy starts building. That's something that we know from BDS. Once everything goes well, they are a very audible team. They are a team that will start living on that momentum. And of course, there is more emotion in this game than there might be in others, because first of all, it is going to be that knockout game. If you lose this, oh yeah, you're going to be going home. But second of all, you've beat them about 3 months ago.
It's a grudge match then.
For your first ever international title.
It's a grudge match for both teams. It could have been this sort of modern iteration of Liquid's bite back. It could have been their perfect statement as the lead in. It could have been the sort of, you know, unfortunate trifecta, I'm sorry to say, at APAC, but throughout the last year, an NA winner, an EU winner, was almost a Latin American winner at 2 of those events. And yet they found themselves, unfortunately, the sort of residual runner-up against the EU teams. Now, one of those 2 almost finalists gone at this point.
Yeah. Of course, they won the Javle Major. That was last year. Well, that's it.
But that's not last year. That's miles away in different teams.
It is.
Can Liquid be that Latin American response here? The first round goes away from them. It's BDS's opening defense. It's tricky to hold your defenses onto Chalet.
It is tricky. It's proven tricky. But for now, they're holding on. 30 seconds have passed. We haven't had a very explosive start to the round as we had to the very first. A bit more of a slowed down approach coming in from Liquid, as they are starting to open up windows. They are starting to get drones in place, but they aren't quite pushing through the building just yet because they're unable to. Because the BDS players, they have set themselves up close to the entry points. And of course, as I say, that Ask is the first to go in.
Uh-oh.
Spotted out the Legion, but didn't fire.
No, kept himself alive for this. And there's the take, the reveal, and with that, the motion of swinging around, he can get a little bit more territory right up against Box, because suddenly they can't just swing round a little bit closer. You don't quite know how close they are. The extra 20 paces, a drone just caught Shaiko's movement here, and drones are vicious on this map. The breach of the wall, the slight swing back. He's gonna hold on just for a second, pops another drone, finds himself back to the hatch before they can spray through, and survives.
It's most important, he's carrying that C4 as well. Be detrimental if Liquid is grouping up a little bit too much, or if only a most important player gets picked up by a C4. That's very close. Nesk, gotta be careful there. Some noise is being made. He is close to that C4, but Shaiko has no clue whether or not to pop it. It's pretty far coming through, actually deciding to take the gunfight instead of blowing it up.
Yeah, he almost had the catch there, but it comes a little bit too late. They've got themselves some control. They're forcing the players out from the default plant spot, tucked behind the A-bomb chassis if you're approaching from this end and not going for the big fight on the wall on the opposite end. They have the man advantage, and they want to see if they can try and force it rather than run the gauntlet and gamut of let's try and get this kid down. And Shiro just tucks tail, turns the corner and survives, but look at the shepherding that Liquid has done. They forced the BDS players towards the back end. The shotgun's still making dangerous work, but the second C4, I mean, well, actually it's the first. It was Shaiko's from hours ago at this point. The blinds come, the drop into the fight itself. EFAC's able to get Ask on the back end. Lagonas has the kit, they have the cover. And this is the plant spot they wanted. Shaiko gets caught on the swing round. There's a response from Brede, and there's a trade out on the back end, but Lagonas now. Technical 2 versus 1. There's cameras behind him though. And that was pretty tricky to win.
Injuries there, confirm as well, the pickup and the counter defuse. 2-0 for BDS. I have to say though, there was a lot of verticality going on from Liquid. There was not much from BDS to counter. Of course, that 1C4 eventually did find success, but as you mentioned, it was played like 2 minutes before it actually found anything.
It was there a long time. At first you thought, has he messed up his opportunity? I heard one pop off. I assumed that was his.
Yeah, there might have just been a grenade or something that popped up either, but...
And, I mean, why do I sit here and question Shaiko?
I don't know.
Why does anybody...
Why is Shaiko?
How is Shaiko? Nobody asks when is Shaiko. I mean, it was... Some things line up there. They waited for the buck to come around. Patience pays off. Got the reward. And, you know, you could see what Liquid were doing. And they'd done most of the work to get it. The fact that the kill went down was a sort of testament to that. But without that man advantage at that point, that sort of gun trade game, losing vertical as well and having that fall away from you, it just becomes tricky, is the easiest way of putting it.
I'm just saying, like, Renshiro being allowed to rotate all the way through like he did before, like when they were having 2 people on the top floor, the Buck going after him with the skeleton key, and somehow him still escaping into dining alive, that shouldn't happen either. Either way. Shaiko is patiently punching away the last pixel that is holding this little piece together.
Oh dear.
He's given up.
I mean,
shotgun or something like that.
Very well-made wall.
It's a very well-made wall indeed. It doesn't want to be punched out.
So the approach towards the basement here, you can either see a sort of control over the big fireplace area, the pressure onto the plant, and whether you do it by trash or you just do it tucked at the bottom of the swing stairs. That's one side, the other is a west main. It's sort of one or the other. You either will get this open anyway, that's just part of the sort of pressure. But from this, they'll probably start to, no, it's on the back end, look at that. Ness can ask, instantly in, there's EFAC. He's gonna see if he can try and move in. Caught on a drone at the same time. He's not gonna sit around, he doesn't want to suffer, but Shaiko sure does. There's a zip to the top. Palu's on the hunt round the back. Naska's a kill, and well, I said it's often one or the other. EFAC at least stops both of them. I thought he was only able to get one, but I mean, there's suddenly this pop back in. Lagonis, he slipped the kid in via trash on the opposite end. Ask is suddenly a bit isolated as well, and they went for something bright, bold, and brilliant, but BDS just rebuffed it, threw them back into it. The retake of the verticality, once again, plays a huge part, and you can see they're concerned about, well, where is BDS watching us from? This is a smart play. You're not quite able to get the catch. There's no way to stop this plant. It's being fervently watched, and we're in a post-plant situation, but can they try and hold off this approach?
Now going to have a player inside blue, Ask, who is going to be finding one, but that means his position is known. The instant trade comes through, but Lems is down on a single point of HP. Lagonis gets himself on top of the table. He's watching blue. He's aware of the fact that Lems was there just moments ago, and he's going to go for that swing. The pre-fire comes in, but he finds the win. Renshiro gets the kill. The counter defuse is on its way. And 3-0 is going to be on the board.
BDS, they have a focus, and it is watertight right now. They are making sure that anything Liquid attempts is kind of encapsulated and pushed back off, and sure, 2 plants go down. But look at the BDS movement.
Yeah.
They realize we can't stop this right now. They realize this kit is in this position, so they rotate away. They pull themselves back. They sort of see the empty space, and, you know, Liquid might become the vessel that it fills, but at the minute, it's just BDS's cup, and they're not spilling a drop.
They're definitely not. And sometimes that's the right way to go about it. Just let them get that planned out, because they will confine themselves to 4 walls that they're going to be stuck behind, and you have the entire play space to go with, to go for that retake. And if you have a man advantage, that's going to be working out fine if you're a team like BDS. So well done to them. No stress.
Some stress.
So, okay, a little bit of stress. I mean, plants are still going down, and
I think it's unfair to say no stress.
No, okay, but I mean, so far these rounds are still going their way, and yes, some have been closer than others. Very true. One did come down to a 1v1 in the end.
Yeah.
but they're getting away with it for now. So it's not like the round count should give them any stress right now.
No, and you sort of get a taste of where the pressure's coming from. Bride is the only player that's died every single round. He's the sort of focus, is the site, is where Liquid wants to put the pressure here. It's taking some semblances of heroics. EFAC winning against Nesk on one story and then swinging for Palu on the next. Not many players can pull off those movements, and that is one of the things, that gun game that just hasn't really been connecting on Liquid's side throughout this tournament. The entrance here, they're holding into the corner for as long as possible. You assume there's Grismots on either side. The support structure of the window, they're going to leave now. Fair enough. They're not caught on the route round. Ranshiro, he's caught though. Palu breaks his way in, takes the kill, and the entry statistics have been very good for Liquid throughout this tournament, but unfortunately the follow-up hasn't quite matched.
That's it, right? Like the entries, they keep on going Liquid's way. It's just that someone of BDS is always able to turn the tide around and find one or two in the round itself to find themselves in that leading position. Lagonas, he's in front of the window, he's looking to find a way through. He's looking to get himself a plant. As Asa takes down Leakefak, an instant reply happens again. Alems retakes the stairs. Now, as long as the player is still inside a pantry for BDS, that plant is not going to be happening. They're not going to be going for that jump in. And as Alems is going up to the top floor again, well, he might be finding himself some gold here.
Well, that's it. Shaiko was around that. Shaiko's dropped down. He's watching from dining across Fireplace on the opposite end. They've sort of surrounded Liquid, and this is exactly what we talked about. BDS, they're happy to rebuild and remold themselves. It makes things awkward. Lagonas, if he swings too far to his left, you assume Shaiko will get the catch in the clip there. Bride, he's caught out. Lagonas drives into sight, and they're watching above. They've not handed over the verticality this time. So, Shaiko, he's going to see if he can fight his way down the corridor. At the same time, Alems fights from above. The plant is going round, but as I said, fervently watch, Shaiko does get Nesk. Lagonas is picking up, removing, selecting the choice of the plant behind the drop on the hatch. Did he hear it? Yes, he did, but he cannot make the connection, and Liquid, you see how much that round means.
Palu on the cover right there. He got the opening. He found two more afterwards. That's what they need. Let them get back alive. Because Liquid, they have been struggling. There's no two ways about it. Liquid shouldn't be a team that finds themselves in the losers bracket this early on. Neither should BDS, by the way. But now one of them is going to go home either way. And that means that this game is just so loaded with emotions and with pressure on both sides. Not only because of what it means for the Six Invitational, but because of what happened in Jönköping.
What happened in Jönköping?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It was it was a grand final between these two, and it was a very close grand finals, and it eventually was BDS that was able to take the upper hand in the game and take the victory and the trophy home.
The strange thing about it, although it was a 5-mapper, although it run the gauntlet and the sort of all the way through, it opened with a 7-1, I believe, in BDS's favor, and then it sort of bounced back, and none of the maps really went above 7-4, 7-5s. Like, everything was back and forth, but more as a grander scheme trade, and there's a lot less time to do that here across these 3 maps that we have. So if one of them turns into a brawl that, you know, maybe you lose, but at least you're a step ahead, it might herald slightly different net profits.
On economics now. So
my very thin understanding of, but I do know impact tricks. They're able to find, oh, well, not the full bite, but I think they'll take that instead. Ask is gone, EFAC gets the entry.
And with that, you lose your heart breach. Not quite sure how much he already had tossed out, but considering that the top wall is closed. Okay, there you go. One set of Selma's been tossed out, has made an opening.
An awkward one, though.
Off, yeah, but it is an opening nonetheless, right? So
yeah,
it means that they do have something to work with, even though it's not ideal. It has to be enough.
Sort of the thing about that positioning as well, it's a crouched opening. They're going to have to try and slink their way through if they want to do the chassis plant. As I said before, you've got the sort of two sides of this. If you want to push for the plant they had last time, you clear above, which it seems like they're rotating to try and do, and then tuck it in on the back end. You have to do less sort of fighting and more sort of shepherding. On the other side, well, you still clear above. You don't have to do the full clear of above. You just have to clear yourself around here onto box, which EFAC has decided he wants to take over. And then the route through towards planting on the chassis and just sort of have this as a big firing range. But there's that demonstration. There's not a full catch on it. Shaiko suffers a bit. If EFAC is unknown here, though, this could be a bit of a turn. Parlu behind the piano has the awareness, and Nesk is the pickup.
Good cleanup coming through right there, but there's still some players up above. It's a Lems who is going to get swung off and gets his head taken off by Nesk. More flashbangs land. It's going to be wasting some seconds on the attack, but they've got that top four under control. The last three members of BDS all down horizontally. And now that verticality can come into play. 45 seconds. Do they have anything? Well, they got some bullets and they're using them, but Nesk is going to take small amounts of damage as well as Rinchiro falls back. He makes a lot of noise by jumping on top of that trophy machine there as resets. It's going to be taken out. Shaiko goes for the double as well. Leaves it only up to Brede now.
BDS, they've fallen a bit apart there and sees the side of them on the opposite end. It's rare to see Nesk that fired up this early in a series. He knows the team needs the energy. He knows they need that fire, and he knows they're starting to bring it a little bit there from what was good play on the first couple of rounds that wasn't punished against BDS. The rotations, the movement. This is a Liquid that seems a lot more astute. They are paying attention. The push there onto EFAC after losing the first in. He moved into the space. He thought he was sort of untouchable, but Parlu was watching the door, you assume, for a while, waiting for Nesk to do the rotate round.
Yeah, that's it. They worked together to clear him out there. They had the understanding he was there, and he had the utility to basically put him out of there. And that's exactly what they needed. You mentioned it before. Like, if you want to go for a plant, you need to have that top floor control.
Yeah.
If the defenders are up top, you're basically asking them to please win this round, please drop the diffuser for us, and, you know, just make us head to the next. So Liquid, they did everything they needed to do there. No questions about it. And now suddenly we find ourselves at 3-2, right after I said no stress. Suddenly, it's panic mode.
Yeah, remember when I said, it's not quite no stress?
It's not quite no stress, no.
Yeah, it's not quite no stress. It never was. And this is the thing, you have Liquid still knocking on the door. There's a lot of other teams that wouldn't have been able to deal with them. They would have either tried to push too much in front of it, or they wouldn't have gone for the retakes as BDS have done. And, you know, Liquid were only over a couple of steps away from getting themselves in. The catch of the drone, the reveal of the claw, and the play against it. There's the impact EMPs. They knew where the claw was. It has moved, and that gets it off.
What?
There was a second claw thrown after they got the drone. It's a bit of a missed timing. They still have one of the exothermics in pocket, but what they now don't have is the impact EMPs on anybody.
Well done by Brede there, by just tossing up a second claw in a different spot whilst picking up the one that got impacted. Finds himself a single exothermic, and that means there's only that, you know, little bit less of a giant hole that can be walking through. Luckily, they still have Palu, of course, as well, on the ace, so 3 Selmas can be used, but
the wall's electrified. Wow.
Electrified, so a grenade needs to roll in to get rid of the Electroclaw.
It's going to turn this into a much slower clear now. And obviously, the last time was a rush, a bit of a blind swing at the site to smash and grab their way through it. Here, though, when you need to deal with those claws and you need to deal with some of the control of the map space, you have to take step by step, slow through, over the top there. Not going to fall victim to a punished swing. But the rotations from BDS often happen once a bit of time has passed. EFAC was above last time round. This time he's watching towards the entrance of the door. You'd have to be a fool to run into this without checking it. And, you know, it's not going to happen.
Ask up above, with the Gemini coming out as well, means that Liquefact doesn't really have a safe way of rotating back. It's going to be doing it anyway, as the hatch wasn't quite, you know, watching for his entry that way. It's not possible to watch it that way, so he finds himself safe. But the opening will still be made. Wine is going to be under attack as the exothermic will blow up. It's going to be allowing them to go for a deep run and a plant afterwards if no one of BDS is in position to stop it from happening.
Grenades bouncing around. They're trying to get angles. They want the claw. They find it, and that opens the sidewall. Renshiro, just before he got flashed, was tempted with the swing. Gets caught out whilst being unable to see. Resets, finds Efak as well, and with Shaiko getting one, he gets downed in the process. The plant will be secured as Lagonis just out of range, but they bite through, and there it is. A 3 apiece, even half. Palu with a couple on the end there to tie to the couple he had before. And if we wanted those guns to be firing throughout the tournament, they're making sure they're starting to hit when it matters the most.
They're definitely firing now, indeed. On a do-or-die game. The first of today for them, potentially is second to come up. And Liquid starting to get alive right here now, going over towards their defense, starting up on that top floor on the bedroom. Gonna see how they are gonna be able to deal with the aggression that BDS can bring. Because they started growing in to the second part of that first half. 3 rounds in a row. Basically getting the entry twice, working on getting that plan down as well. Very well oriented towards getting, you know, that plan down, towards playing the objective and isolating BDS as a result of it. Worked out wonders for them. But now they're on the defense, and that means that, you know, you just have to endure whatever is coming at you here. BDS is going to be dictating the pace for the second half.
Can they try and steal back some of the thunder, the momentum that has otherwise just been ripped from their hands? As I said, the 2 big guns have started to fire, and they sure are noisy, but it's also worth sort of the effort of the rest of the squad. Ask resets, getting themselves in on the gun as well. Lagonis obviously playing that support role from the first 3 rounds, going away from them to the 3 that we saw there without a timeout in the middle. There's a huge return to force, and again, you can see it. They know that this is a high-impact game and the team capable because of the meeting not too far in the past. The break on towards the mirror window. They want to just quickly pop up and get this done. If someone's on the top of blue, they should be able to get rid of these, and they're trying to get it from the range. There's Resets doing his best, but it does get popped off.
Wall will be opened up, an entry kill comes in as well. Likafak now heading up on the actual blue stairs. There's still going to be a defender or 2 out there that he needs to deal with. And he's fully aware as well. It's actually being pushed. I don't think he knows. It's a super shorty on the top of the stairs here.
You're going with some bold revenge here in the super shorty. They hope the Nook was just holding it a bit close. They've moved away. They're not going to risk being sort of handing that balance back. The bounce over the top doesn't get the full catch, but Shaiko does. There goes Ask, and Lagonis is surrounded by ghosts of the French, and unfortunately, the dead of his own team. Up round at the back of the fireplace stairs, waiting for maybe a swing to come against them. They have the verticality, but look at this, BDS. They're like, well, the site's over here. We've done the damage. Let's pay some attention. Force them to have to come back this way. Nesk breaks his way into box. They're trying to recuperate. If they can get a couple of kills on this side, they might be able to swing some of the favor, but this mirror window can be deadly.
Just delayed on picking up the first repel in. Nesk, though, will find Renshiro. And again, Lagon is stucking in right behind the mirror window to provide some support. Likafak found a response. It's going to be a 2-on-4 situation now. And as Lagonis digs in a little bit deeper, he's afraid of the fact that the balcony outside might be used to find an entry on him. He's rightfully so. 40 seconds, 2 players out there, 2 coming up from the staircase behind him. Where's the first push heading from?
Lagonis gets aggressive at the top and gets the trade! Shaiko, he's able to at least stop it, but what a transfer to bring some of this back. Palu, he's just seen a body. He finds the rest, and Palu! Unbelievable!
2v5 clutch coming in from Liquid. They take the lead. Palu and Lagonis both picking up 2. Yes, the trait was there on the first, but not on the second. And Palu again alive. That's most important, because as soon as Palu and Nesk are both just gunning like crazy, there is no stopping Liquid. And Nesk started off a little bit earlier in the game. Palu, well, he's definitely been going like a bit of a steam train. 10 kills right now. And 6 on Nesk.
I mean, it's everything that Liquid fans have been crying out for this whole tournament. A performance like this when they needed it the most. Who else but Team Liquid? BDS, they're still playing it very well. They still had the good lead in the same way we sort of talked about some of the play before.
Yeah.
But that X factor, that little something special, is starting to make its appearance in the recipe. And, well, Portuguese people have, speaking people, Brazilian people have very delicious food.
I've had the pleasure, actually, to go to enjoy the cuisine.
Let's see if French cuisine is rated better. I know what cuisine isn't. English cuisine.
Is that really a cuisine? Is that...
No, we do not have it. All right. I mean, 2 fantastic spray transfers. The 2 versus 5 clutch BDS. This has got to fuel you. Haven't taken their time out. They know how close they were. They know it should have been their round. And just missed moments and mistakes cost them EFAC instantly. Trying to batter down the hatches here above. They have the red ping. They have the follow-up fight. They don't quite have the right angle. And, ooh, it's a dangerous take, but he finds the bonus at the end of it.
Still a lot of damage taken there, maybe a bit unnecessarily either way. Palu is the next to be spotted out. There comes the grenade from below. He's been removed. That's exactly what BDS need, a double entry again, but also finding those dangerous players on the side of Team Liquid. Ness trying to lean back in, hoping to find one, finds Alems as well, brings it back to a 4v3. Creates a rotation outwards as Liquid is hoping to chase him down. Minute 40 on the clock. Round will slow down just for a second here now. Grenades are being tossed in, no one is actively being chased. BDS have an opportunity now to just recompose themselves, try and figure out where these players are, and then try and find the next isolation.
There's a bit of time, a bit of a tick back, and, you know, getting one body back earlier than otherwise. Slightly different hold, though, with the hard hatch. Look at the watch right above. Do they know that Ask is just peering over the edge here, waiting for Shaiko to put a little bit of him? The pull of the pin is a giveaway, and he leans right into it. Great take onto Renshiro, jumps into the next. Shaiko's just able to swap to the gun in time and make sure they can keep that one-man advantage. But with time wasted and Ness caught above, Resets is now the man of the moment to see if he can be the decisive factor and keep the drive. That C4 almost perfectly timed, but they're able to survive, and it wasn't the real.
So Gemini.
So, the first fight is the spray, the rotate down the corridor. It's Scrappy, they're above, behind, and all around. He can't quite get the full lock-in. And there it was. As soon as they sort of got the read on where he was, it's hard to get out of that corner.
Wanted to go for the confirmation there onto Shaiko and wasn't quite ready for the next to peek. But Liquefact did a really good job there with the first 2 kills to come through. Of course, after that turned into a bit of a trade game for Liquid and BDS, but because BDS already had those 2 early entries, they were able to just continue that trading game without too much issues. Which leaves us that 4-4. Still, a game that is going to be back and forth. And we wouldn't want to have any other way, as the previous major final is now being replayed in the first round of the lower bracket. Again, it's such a crazy thing to think about, that both these teams found themselves at, well, just moment, like rounds away, or just rounds in time at the heights of their careers. And now they find themselves at potential knockout, days away from being at Blasbel.
If we will have seen 7 of the 9 map pool maps between these 2 teams by the end of this showdown, at least. There's only 1 doubling up, which is our map 3, I think, which is themed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we've seen pretty much every single current comp map between BDS and Liquid.
It's funny like that they were like, you know what, we're not going to be playing the same maps we played during that final map pool state change, of course. There's a preparative tool for a tournament like this. Talk about preparation. BDS quickly opens up the wall towards Snowmobile. It's going to be making sure that they have that one entry already going their way. Whereas the rest of BDS is currently knocking on the door to try and create something on the wine side of things, to keep them guessing, to, well, give yourself options as well. Lick Effect already down below as well. He's just walking around. He's actually headed up now. I think he wants to take control of that hatch. There is a player of Team Liquid out there. Need to work together to take him out.
Well, Lagonis is getting calls, and there's a little bit of an eye, but there's also the stack up above as well. The loose Valkyrie at this point of Parlu could cause problematic. There's the reveal of the player. How much do you send to shut this down? Do you trust that a single route, a single run can be the lock-in, or do you hope you force the motion? Ask. He's buying them an angle, and resets buys a body. EFAC removed from the board. You lose the Habana. Parlu, he wants to swing the window as another call comes out. They are putting pressure onto the site itself by the looks of it. The grenade does a lot of damage to Parlu, but as BDS tries to slip the diffuser in down on red, they're still focused up here. And there it is, Shaiko caught out. They want the control of the hatch. They don't get it. There's another for Parlu, and out of nowhere, a flawless.
BDS decided to go just for the push in at that point, and everything fell apart. Already lost the initial kill, and weren't able to get that diffuser down.
Well, let's have a listen in.
Calme et tranquille. Concentre-toi sur ton jeu. D'abord, comme ça tu vas leur éclater leur gros crâne de mort. Mais calmez un peu les gars, calmez un peu la com, ça s'excite un peu trop. Tranquille, on a le temps, ok? Faut juste comprendre où sont nos erreurs là maintenant tout de suite, ok? Est-ce que vous de votre côté vous les avez vus ou pas?
Moi je les ai vus. Moi je pense qu'on a pris trop de temps de l'autre côté, c'était tous bébés et qu'ils sont tous venus. Donc je pense que pour contrer ce playstyle là, il faut soit rentrer vite côté solar et les bloquer direct, ou soit rush BP.
Ça faut le calling game les gars, ok? Faut vraiment qu'on là maintenant, il y a 4-5. Faut qu'on mette tous les roues là, les gars, ok? On n'a pas le temps de niaiser maintenant, faut qu'on y aille les frères, ok? Allez, vamos les frères, hein?
Allez, go les gars là!
Allez, hein?
Pour ça, tu vois quand
on a rien à faire!
Super vite. Et ici, il peut baiser. Je pense garder la même
Something 4-5, which is the current scoreline.
Maybe it's only 4-5, or it's just 4-5.
And my French isn't good enough to figure out which one it was. I know 4-5, you know, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's
I'm
about
proud of you.
Thank you.
I know less than that, so I can't.
I could literally just say that I know what they're saying, and then you would have no clue whether or not that's true or not.
No, you could have.
I could have, but there is people watching at home that do speak French. And
Yeah, Milos. He's not at home, he's
that's
watching
not
from
quite correct,
one wall over.
actually. So, yeah.
Bedroom. Back to the top here, BDS. I mean, you know, one of the rounds should have been theirs. They could have been sort of highlighting that. The 2 versus 5. They couldn't quite get it. There's no argument that that one wasn't the flawless. They went and tried to slip their way in. They were sort of struggling. It was the question I first posed is how much do you have to dedicate to trying to clear out that player on the top? Do you go for the one-on-one, which to be honest on their day, their gunners are capable of? Do you bring a little bit more because, well, Liquid are gunning out. I mean, EFAC instantly, he's found his way slipping through. They have some drones and intels. They're looking to try and get some pressure underneath with the grenades as well. Maybe they might lean themselves up, just getting themselves the safety net of intel.
Early E1D spotted out 3 players as well, but of course it's that early on. Nothing really happens on the back of that. You don't have any opportunity to quickly reply. Other way, Ranchiro on the upside down rappel has a grenade in pocket, actually 2. Wants to be using it as well, but probably has to wait until some support comes in from the Solarium staircase so they can start moving up and start isolating these players together. First rolls through. It's going to be just making sure that no one can actively play on that mirror window that has been located.
Oh, is that a default up?
Oh, no.
Oh, that is frustrating. And you can see they've done the red ping to, you know, move away from the approach they wanted to go with there. They're saying you've got other things to focus on here, mate. There is maybe a prep jump out from the small box off to the right-hand side. They're playing high up on the window as well. They're going to dabble in, and there's the jump out I talked about. Parlu from deep, they focused BDS's focus towards the wrong parts, and they punish them for the opposite. They're tucked under the bath. They're gonna have to get out of the way of that, and they win it! They really shouldn't. Nesk, he's still trying to go in. He at least gets picked back up. Lagonis goes down at a similar time. There's another finish over the border. Lems had to fight back, because if Liquid got away with that, then the energy of BDS would have been ripped out of this Chalet. With Lagonis still down in 50 seconds, he's seeing if he can crawl somewhere survivable. They have the spray on the double, and Renshiro locks it out. Bride, he's going for the plant and is picked up. Oh, the window even was the kill. It's a 1 versus 1. Parlu versus Bride on the back end. One of the biggest clutch players the game's ever had. Can't beat one of the biggest gunners. It still has.
What a time to come back alive. And I like how his entire team is just partying and he's just sitting there like, I'm back. Cheeky smile coming through. Well done by Paolo. Again, a clutch coming out from him. Keeps them in a good position. Actually, puts them in an even better, because that is a 6-4 map point. 2 of them even. And we're headed towards the bar and gaming room next. Are they gonna lock it off here? And you talked about how the energy of BDS would have been sucked out if it wasn't for that big play. Well, if you then get hit by a big play from the other side right afterwards when it should have been yours, that is gonna be just as harmful. Default setup coming out from Liquid here. See the shield on top of blue. See the Surya laser gates. Of course, we have the library that needs to stay in control for as long as they possibly can. And Resets setting himself up for play around pantry, bar, and billiards.
Match point Liquid. And most of BDS's came a long time ago in this showdown. They really have to sort of bring some of that energy back, and I mean, it's not easy. There's no two ways about it. What do they focus on? Who do they try and fight? They're not quite able to get on top of the gun game. They're an even hand, but against the dominant one, they're sort of being driven around at this point. There was a lot that was lost here with the attention paid when they previously were trying to attack the basement. This time, obviously, the site's on the opposite end. They're one attack that they've been able to win. And, oh, Renshiro does find Barlu, and that's probably all of the BDS players let out a held breath there.
It's definitely an impactful one. Palu, he's been dropping so many kills over this game so far. Removing him early on, it's going to be taking away a bit of a clutch factor. Shaco just found out he was being watched the entire time he was droning. Spots out 2 players, and that means he's going to go on the hunt right now. He's going to do what he does best. Take players out of these weird situations where they should be having the upper hand on you. But if Shaco's just a little bit sharper, just misses the head there, might be able to find himself with a kill and an opening for the rest of BDS.
They're going for the pressure over the top. They've forced the motion. You can see the rotation coming out. And there's Resets getting a Lems on that exact rotation. They pull back because Renshiro puts the pressure onto Nesk, finds a second for the round, and with a minute left, they've pulled themselves back in, the 2 remaining players in the 2 versus 4. But I think, as proven by Lagonis last time he was in a similar situation, it's far from over. 2 smokes still left as well. They can buy themselves some time on the drop of the hatch. The double window is still open underneath as well, so they know there's not just going to be a tucked plant. At this point, BDS, they're currently weighing things up. Effect does open that double, gives them something else, and there's the smoke response. You sort of have to play it from a bit of that long range. You have to force that utility use. The hatch opened way earlier. Renshiro suffering a bit from the spray up. Resets is so low though, blinded. as the knock comes from EFAC. They didn't see the rotate. They're close in with a shotgun and resets. EFAC back to the drawing board and rotates his way underneath. He's going to come up the back of Fireplace. There's the catch from Lagonis on the drop. Bride's got the kid. He's trying to find his way inside sight with Renshiro wanting the watch, but Lagonis gets the kit cold. Renshiro, all that's left of the French on Chalet, but he says goodbye.
Another massive 2v4 clutch coming up from Liquid. And I'm just going to be saying it because when we looked at the statistics on the desk before, they only had 4 clutches so far in this entire tournament. They put up 4 just this map right here. 4 times they were just outnumbered. And they come back in successfully. 1-0 for Liquid. Before we head to the next map, let's head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
welcome back everybody to the B stream. We have BDS up against Liquid and the first map has just finished. For those of you that might be wondering, how did that go? Well, let's just say someone is back and his name is Paulo.
Ooh, yeah, he's back. It is scary. And obviously, we sort of have the split there. Obviously, it is Liquid's map. But to put it in some context for what you see in front of you, of the last 8 rounds of that map, Liquid won 7 of them. It had a little break, a little visit to BDS Town, but otherwise, as soon as they started to cook into that, as soon as they found that energy, I mean, it was unattainable in terms of stopping them. There was 2 or 3 2 versus 4 at least clutches, including a 2 versus 5, and that is a tough Chalet to swallow.
It is, and I just hope that BDS has had the opportunity to, in these 5 minutes, quickly come back together and discuss what exactly went wrong, where did they break apart, because it wasn't like their pushes were desynchronized. We just had these spray transfers coming through. We just had these amazing flicks which made these clutches possible as well, which allowed Liquid to take that lead and eventually take the victory. Now, as we get into Clubhouse, it is going to be the second map we're up against. BDS still favored. I think a lot of people that watch know why. There's always that question like, why do you take BDS to Clubhouse? Even though they haven't, basically, they have not won it every single time they've played it in the last 10 plays or something. They've lost it quite a bit.
It's, you know, it's always the challenge here, and obviously when they came down to meeting in Jönköping, Club was the removal. It was something that Liquid didn't really want to go to in the final. They played it in the build-up. Ollie sort of he angled it as like a hidden trick, a hidden place for Liquid. I would disagree in some ways. I think that Liquid are just such a sort of well-practiced team. We always sort of say about Club, everybody's got a club. Some people have a great club, some people have a poor club, but everybody's got at least a club.
Yeah.
BDS obviously have a great club, and Liquid's been around the books long enough to have, I'd say, a good club.
For sure. But it is also going to be that mental game now that comes into play. BDS are 1 map away from being eliminated. And they're headed over towards a map that they do love. And let me just pull up.
Yeah, we're heading to their map.
Yeah, we're headed to their map. And out of the last 16 times they played it, and that's over the entire year, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's dating back 12 months. They've won it 13 times.
Pretty good.
And lost it only 3. Twice against W7M.
Including yesterday.
So, that does show they can bleed. That does show they can bleed by Latam teams like W7M, but W7M is also the, well, top seed of the entire tournament coming in.
Yeah, so they're pretty good, pretty comfortable, and pretty terrifying. And we talked a little bit about, you know, BDS and W7M ending up hitting heads. It was 2 potential finalists that met a bit earlier. They might still be finalists. There's always that chance of them having a re-meet, but at that point it was a tricky game, and BDS won in the position of selection. What I will sort of, you know, angle on that is what's coming up next for either of these 2 teams today is M&M, and I have a feeling them watching Palu pop off, they're probably hoping for a BDS win right now.
It's going to be shaking the marshmallows in their boots.
Yeah, I mean, again, I keep quoting the Jolly Giant, Ollie. You don't want to face Palu on his day.
No, you definitely don't. I mean,
as he just said in the green room between the maps, and you know, it's because it's such, as you said, the mental game. It's terrifying to go up against.
Was it a saying, like, you haven't really played International until you've been slapped around by Nesk and Palu, something like that?
Yeah, it's...
They have accolades about it.
Yeah.
They're still looking for that big trophy. The big major or Six Invitational. That's literally what will complete their careers, as Ask. Leans in, takes a fight, and will drop back. No, actually sticks around. So we're going for a second fight soon.
Yeah, he's able to get himself a little bit more locked in. They've taken an early bod. It's worth remembering that the side is church, the side is very far away, and you've lost your entry engagement. They still want to try and force the fight. Resets does, I was going to say suffer, gets one, Alems gets one back right on the window, and all of this is happening around CC. Alems gets another onto Nesk. They're driving themselves through. Us pre-fires gets caught out, and that is now 6 people that have died around Garrett on the church hold.
Lagonis was debating whether or not he wanted to join that club by moving up the staircase, but he decided it was time to actually head back towards the site, considering it's a 2-on-2 with 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock, because 6 people died within 90 seconds, none of them near the actual site. Grenade comes through from Renshiro, will find Lagonis. Now it's only up to Resets. He missed the rotation through from Brede. That means the plant is going to be going down. 45 seconds soon to be on the clock, unless Resets can do something about it. His rotation should be watched, but it's not. Brede will shut him down, though, as he had enough time to make that happen. And that means that BDS again will win the first round.
Yeah, from the start, they've been able to proposition themselves and say, well, we're going to meet you swinging. And you gotta, as I said, that idea, that stepping back into the sort of Colosseum against this team, terrifying. And, you know, when you're trying to grow into it, when you're trying to build that confidence, when you're trying to build that idea of how do you stop a storming giant, you remember that you have ones of your own. Alems, Renshiro, huge names that have been around the scene for, in some regards, just as long as Nesk and Palu. And, you know, they've similar accreditations at points, not quite the same accolades in terms of being terrifying with the gun, but it's more than just gun in this game.
It is strategy, but also morale that is often just as important as your gun game. Often gets overlooked. Because they find that first.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Will be helpful. Renshiro actually with a drone, I believe that is inside.
5 seconds left
He's going to be
before
watching the mezzanines. So they're going to be able to quickly take care of anybody that might be out there. Because, hey, everybody, if you are new to Siege, first of all, welcome.
Yeah.
But we are going for a CCTV attack. And this is the bread and butter of Siege. If you have ever played more than 10 games, you've probably come across Clubhouse. And then you've probably come across this site as well. And step 1 is going to be to open up the wall to the outside, and then step 2 is going to be to take that garage that drone is located for. So BDS have already given themselves the information they need to make step 2 happen.
One of the things that if you have been following us a while, you might remember is 2 SIs ago, Liquid's lower bracket run. They ended up all the way in the final, pretty much from the first level of the lower bracket. They were knocked down, they fought back against 4, I believe, maybe even 5 games to find themselves in the final against NIP. They're a team that knows how to play Cinderella story runs.
Have a lot of resolve in them. Do not give up ever. Until the timer says it's over. BDS is going to be going for a approach from the bedroom side. It's going to be taking care of construction now. Smoke canister there is going to be blocking some lines inside and also making sure they cannot quite move in as of yet. But of course, I don't want BDS really in a position to do so. What worries me more is the flank that could be coming up from Nesk and Resets, who are currently right below the majority of the BDS team.
Yeah, he was trying to get Clash for a second through the bars. They have the C4. There's a smoke canister popped up just towards the approach. They're slowing things down, allows Resets and Nesk a bit of time to work. There's always danger of something coming up underneath them, and Lems is keeping a keen eye watch for it, hoping the rotate comes against it. The drone will drop and bounce around. There's the reveal of the players. There's maybe one that was spotted, potentially even 2 on the swing. Well, definitely 1, obviously. And there it is, the first fight, and it goes away from them. Resets, gets the take. Lagonis finds EFAC at the same time. Brede, he's trying to hold on, but they suddenly pop up from multiple different angles. And Shaiko has been left a little bit alone. Renshiro, off in the distance, was watching the breach on the back end. And that from Liquid, what a fantastic retake round on the back end. There goes Renshiro. Shaiko has everything to do here, and he can't get it done.
Beautiful flank coming down from Liquid there. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew the majority of BDS was coming in from the bedroom to construction area. And thus they decided to send some people over to fix the issue at hand. Brings them to 1-1. Instantly strike back. Do not wait for those 3 rounds before finally picking up one. You want to make this as close as possible because everybody always says if you take BDS to Clubhouse, you need to have a really good reason to let that go through in the map veto. And Liquid, of course, are a team that are quite confident. They know what they can do. You mentioned it before, they've made these lower bracket runs before. They know they can beat BDS. They got so close in Jönköping. And now they want to do it on a map where people might not expect them to take it.
I mean, it's almost the accreditation. We know W7M hound BDS for the idea of we want to fight you on club with the success.
They want to take it.
Liquid, a team that has a little bit less of a preference to the map itself, might be another one to join that club.
Very nice.
Down to BDS, and you know, they've sort of got to get over where things have disconnected with the past sort of gun game. If you're looking at the grand scheme, obviously over this and the last map, things are rough, but it's that mental reset. It's that repositioning. You can see from Liquid's reactions there, they're just as loud and just as vibrant and violent with their sort of energy that they were at the very beginning. They know they're here to play. They know that for them, they've got another game after this as well.
BDS preparing. Claymores are being set up to stop any of these jump outs because they really want to be using the highway, the balcony, to start fighting inwards. But you cannot do that if those windows are not going to be covered because jump outs can truly ruin whatever you have planned. Sledgehammers to be used to get rid of the castle barricades, just to provide these long lines of sight. Lems is going to be using that for them, but the player is close around the CCTV window. Might have actually just rotated out, believe they have. Because the rest of BDS is looking to take control of it. They've opened up the CC wall. They're going to be trying to take control of it and make sure that those members still out here rotate around. But Palu gets the first wallbang, drops down just a little bit, just to keep himself alive, just to keep the idea of him alive that he's out there.
Yeah, you can talk about them taking CC, but Palu, as a loose thread, was able to pull at that approach. Likifak is able to find his first kill for this map so far. It's on Palu, who had only also just found his first, so 2 of those that butted heads in the previous map have finally started to hear as well. But a lot of time has ticked away. They're starting the pressure here on towards side itself, the ping of the Valkyrie camera, the reveal from the IQ. They're making sure Intel is something they're on top of, as we saw it punish them on the previous map.
Likifak going for the swing, takes it out. Means they're aware of the fact that this push is going to be coming up very soon. The shield as well is going to be providing a bit of a problem here for BDS, because how are they going to get rid of it? Well, that's going to be a bounce grenade, but it lands in the actual window frame, so a second has to be attempted. Gets tossed in, but a magnet takes that out, so the shield will stand.
Oh, just catches the rotator resets there. Now they can put pressure towards this door, but the shield's in such an awkward place. It means the swing can't come as clean as they want it. They're looking to see if they're still being read, and, well, they've got a ping on another camera. Ask. Suffers a scrape on the back end, the 4 versus 3, but Nesk is going to step up right to the door. They're so eager for this engagement, and there it is. Finds Bride, finds the end of a Lems, though. Lagonis round on the back end. Is he being watched? Is he being caught? The C4 almost gets the catch, but it's Renshiro with the fight. The kid caught with 10 seconds left. It's 2 versus 1. They're going for the engagement. It's another pop. Lagonis, he's playing the clutch game from the previous map, and he's almost winning it on this, but a Lems. Look at that from Renshiro.
Just be careful to not knock his monitor over with that to slap out there, but the energy is there. And the right call made, by the way. Just go for the shoulder peek first. Let him fire his spun, because it takes a little bit before you can get back into it. Quickly, Drake.
I ain't ever seen him like that.
He's activated. Never seen him just get so happy for a round win as well. And it shows you how much it means as they get their second attack underway. Or second attack win, rather. 1-2. Team Liquid, they got very close to clutching that out there. The shotgun pumps coming through. Just didn't believe hard enough. Is that what we're gonna call it? Because he didn't get the one pump on the third attempt?
No, this is
That's
one
that shoulder peak.
This is one of those rare instances where I think it's not just about belief in that gun, because you cannot for a second question any of the players in this lobby's belief in this game.
No, of course not.
We are getting absolutely everything from all of them.
You can see it in their reactions alone. I mean, just a slap on that table, almost knocking over the monitor. It shows how much it means. BDS opening up CCTV next. LM's is going to be doing that with the Maverick Blowtorch. There'll be no way you can counter that. The only way potentially is to get a C4 right through that small gap to be created and then hope it doesn't get shot out or actually burned out as you go for it. Sure has a bit of an idea of someone out on the mezzanines. The grenade goes through but will not land near Ask. He continues to fight.
Yeah, they're still putting pressure onto the wall itself as well. They want to get that open. Remember how many people died out here last time round. You're hoping for the side of, I guess, either of these teams that they have a little bit less loss of life. EFAC, hey man, what are you doing down here? Well, you're suddenly in a 1 versus 1. The smoke canister goes out. They had some awareness you were close. They don't know you're that close. Lagona's caught out, and suddenly the sights a little bit popped open. What do you watch? Where do you go? You don't really know. It's suddenly entirely his territory, but he is alone. So they have to do this. Liquid, 3 bodies come down the back end. He's tucked on A-case, and he can support the growth from Blue. They've got to reopen the back of their own site here to try and retake and bite back on the land. The punch hole sprayed down. Breede's going to get the plant. It's a trade out of Alems and Palu being the last 2, but now it's just Nesk on the long table. Cannot get the confirmation of the first kill. Shaiko locks off the human drone, and it's a 4 versus 1. And they know where he is, and they have themselves positioned right behind him. 3 to 1.
Likafaki smelled an opportunity there. He took it with both hands. Finds the kill, and suddenly the advantage is theirs. But attack timeout from Liquid, so let's listen in.
Se liga, diretamente falando, esse jogo vai ser muito mais fácil jogar na retake. Lembra que a BDS é um time que zeca muito bem, zeca muito forte. Se a gente for que tinha bomba de baixo, é só a gente colocar um cara pra já ficar próximo full time do back do lago. É só começar pro azul ali, já na escada baixa, e ele consegue cuidar do rato do túnel e o lago fica preocupado só com a principal capela ali, entendeu?
Vai pra capela?
Não, se a gente for repetir isso, exatamente.
É, mas aí fazer segundo capela, pegaria a rotinha se fosse zeca.
Pode ser também, é forte. E aí, se a gente for pra outro, vamos usar sempre completamente retake, não joga adulto, joga retake. O round da academia foi close, mas o retake vai ser muito mais forte. Lembra do que a gente treinou com os caras, a exec deles é forte, eles não gostam do wave. A gente ganhou já assim.
Querem fazer academia agora? E a gente começa na avançada de dinheiro, pega tempo, recua e faz retake.
Avançada de Eno?
Avançada de dinheiro. Vambora. Podcast mesmo lá.
Wow. We find ourselves pulling back in after that tag timeout, the conversation. Remember, it was the last map. BDS were able to get themselves 3-0 up, and then it became the Liquid show. Will it be the same here?
Question mark? Don't know. Gonna find out. Timeout has been there, so whatever notes have been given are going to be duly noted by Liquid. And they're gonna get themselves ready. See if they can get back onto the entry game, because in the first 3 rounds they were able to lock it out.
Yep.
For the majority of the first map, they've also been able to lock them in. Now, they've not translated them all, but it's still a good thing to take away to start off your round with.
It's also worth sort of angling the idea that Liquid in the last map grew into it. Sure, they had a bit of a bite early on, but, you know, for the accreditation you give Palu and Nesk from how they performed around this time last time, it was also a little bit slow. Palu, I believe, didn't even really get a kill until about the 4th or 5th round.
Yep.
And then found 15 not long after. So there's still always that threat, there's still always that fear. But if we give that sort of accreditation from the recent map, we know what BDS can do, we know what Chaiko can do. Coming in as the sort of top player, he's single-handedly driven maps throughout this series, or not this series, this tournament himself.
Opening made. Soft wall that needs to be cleared out as well in the same time for CCTV. Now, neither do that with Shaiko's breaching charge, or he could have gone over the hammer. One is a bit safer than the other. Drone here is going to be aware of the fact that the player is out there. Mirror window as well is something that is quite dangerous to deal with. An impact grenade used to get rid of that drone really shows you that Ask wants to hold on to this position.
I mean, play the time game, obviously. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you the direct translation. I hope people in chat are filling in and filtering what we cannot and explaining what was said. That might have been it. Resets. Finds the first here. Likifak is gone. Early on, they've lost their IQ. They've lost some of their eyes on those Valkyrie cameras that have proved a bit problematic throughout this so far. And Shiro tucked on the window. I just try and maybe put a bit of pressure. This was obviously the high impact site before. There is a deep roam going out. Nas just swings. Gets another here. That's 2 for 2 in terms of just leaning into the fights. They miss. I'm not going to say the free engagement. They almost suffer on the end of it though.
Really should have been a return kill for the side of BDS, because now Liquid can just sit tight. Hold tight. They have that 2-minute advantage. Flashbangs are coming through to stop anybody from the bathroom to provide some support. And as a shoulder peek still comes through, it's Alem's not able to find that opportunity to bring back one in favor of BDS. Shaiko holding tight as well. There is someone in the room and the corner of the bedroom, so they need to go for a bit of synchrony. Another flashbang gets tossed in, but the magnet will catch it. Resets finds another.
Yeah, they tried to blind out the player. They at least finally put an end to Ask. Trickle peeking in the middle of the room. But look at that under the hatch. Does Brede know? I have a feeling they're going to find out sooner rather than later. They cannot just go for the hot hop in, and with 20 seconds left, they're running lower and lower on options. Shaiko, he's going to find his way over to construction. There's the kill from underneath we talked about, and that leaves just Shaiko in no time, no chance. 3-2, and after the timeout, an important round there for Liquid.
They're on the defense as well, so if they manage to lock this off in a 3-3 split, I would assume they would be quite happy with the results. And of course, that's what they will be aiming for. They've had the opportunity to do it already, but not quite able to lock off that final kill that was in round 3.
Attackers need to locate.
Round 4, we had Likifak just rush the site, which was Arsenal. It's going to be replayed now, and surely Liquid is going to be leaving an extra player on the actual site. Maybe with a bit more utility around in terms of slowing things down. Now, you might just look at it and be like, well, they don't have any bar wire, they don't have any benches. How would they slow down exactly? That would be in terms of Palu with the Mozzie. You might be able to take down the drones, take a bit of the wind out of their sails because they lack on the information game. And as he just pre-placed his 3 pests, it's going to be making sure that that drone game of BDS over the top floor is going to be halted slightly. BDS have made the changes as well. It's going to be no quick rush lineup. We do have the Dokubi in play though, so that could help to at least figure out if players are hiding. But overall, a pretty standard kind of approach. Drones are rolling in from the garage, an opening will be made as well. A C4 tossed out instantly as a response, nothing there however. And that is going to be the first piece of lethal utility averted for the attack.
BDS, they're trying to find the first step in here, and you can see a different hold from the side of Liquid. As we sort of highlight, there's more spread out, there's a bit more wiggle room, and BDS, they're not going to go entirely down to the side as they did previously. Instead, they're looking to see if they can force some pressure, force some movement. Though there is a single player down below, you're trying to lock yourself in. There's a little bit more with the sort of stretch on towards dirt. There's at least one more gun that can buy some time.
Palu taking care of the Excaris from above. Means he's going to be receiving some pressure now. He saw the flashbangs come in. In the meantime, Ranchero and Likifak going on a bit of a hunt through the dirt tunnel. That has been heard. A player in there falling back slowly but steadily. I believe it's going to be Lagones on the other side of it. About to be going in. That's the first smoke canister, dealing a little bit of damage. Ranchero now forced back. Shotgun is there to stop them from truly moving through. A stun will be tossed in as a bit of a reply. Another smoke as well, just to slow them down. But no gain so far.
Nesk, first bit of damage. Lems is able to find out resets as well. Suddenly it's, well, a big fight back from Ask. I was about to say flickering away from them, but there's a bite back again. It's just these big instant plays and trades. Lagonis, he's holding off one inside dirt. It allows Nesk this rotate. Does he know the man behind him once again? No! Shaiko gets the surprise strike. They know where Lagonis is as the last thread. Efac's gonna get the kit down. Renshiro's keeping them at bay. He has to push the first fight, takes it. But now in a post-plant, the two remaining players hot-pinged and pulling themselves a bit further back. Lagonis, he's not quite able to get the first connection, and BDS get a 4-2 half.
That's what they were looking for, just to have that bit of an advantage on their map pick. They don't want to let it get as close as it was in the previous. If it is BDS's concern, they lock this one off as soon as they possibly can so we can head over to the very next. Some last notes.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what they want to be going for exactly. And, you know, whilst we don't speak the language, we know generally what these teams talk about, because English teams or English-speaking teams do talk about the same things. Like, let's go for this hold, bring this operator, maybe we should drop this from the default strategy, all that kind of stuff. And as it's the first defensive round, they will be bringing it back to down below as well. Arsenal, where they found success by bringing some pace twice, by just completely sidelining whoever was on the top floor and taking control of what they could. It is now going to be up to Team Liquid to try and find something similar that they can abuse themselves.
Well, with the setup and the extension all the way to the top, we have seen pacey approaches from this Liquid before. They have a lot of hard breach. They have themselves set up to go for the long haul, and that is more likely what's going to be the piece together. But there's always a worry that the tricks and the trick that BDS have been able to play against Liquid throughout this map could be quickly returned to them. Cut off the rotate is the first step. If you're trying to isolate the fight to the players on the top and you want the fights itself, you have to make sure that if they try and cross the middle ground, you might have a chance of catching them. It's a game that they've played pretty well. And as they go for the steady appearance and the knowledge that, yep, this is a little bit free and we've got a little bit of a route run through here, we can start to get our drone work internal.
Entering the building now as well is just going to be bringing them to that next step. And Ask, he found himself, well, not quite the front door, but it's going to be the back one in the dirt tunnel.
This is what I said. They're a team that can strike quickly, and the fact that it was given over as free territory means that, well, they're going to take it. They need this, though. The pressure and the rush to come from. There's the call of the Legion. They'll just pull themselves a little bit further back. They're not entirely going to go for the fight. The C4 pops off, and, well, Nesk is suffering at the feet. What time does Ask reveal himself?
He's getting the door open up for himself a little bit here by one of the defenders, who seems to have a potential clue about him there, but this allows him to just start looking through the rotate. He gives away his position right now. Palu is looking to reply as well, but he's not quite hitting his shots. Still alive. Resets gets the first, and that's an opening.
Efac gets one right back on the door, but can't quite hold on as the flood of Liquid comes down. It's Renshiro on one side. He's looking for the next engagement, but caught out. Liquid's already buried themselves in the side of the site. They need to see if they can try and get a hold on the plant, but Brede in the 3 versus 1 situation. They seem to have a good read on where the players are coming from before. There's a little bit of crouch movement. Doesn't quite see the width, and Liquid take their first attack.
Such a beautiful language. I don't understand any of it, but it's just
passion.
Passion. That's it. That's what you understand, right? Like how much it means to them. And Liquid, they basically took a page out of BDS's book there. It's like, oh, there's only 1 or 2 of you on site. Well, don't mind if we do take this into our own hands. And then they need to come back. And, I mean, the diffuser already going down. You're basically locked out. You are suddenly the attackers and the defense with not as much time to work with. That was a weird one.
That was cool. That was a new one.
It's one that we haven't seen before. Either way, They instantly fight back. 3-4. That is, you know, a bit worrisome if you're a BDS fan, because you hope that if they went over to their defense, they were able to show Liquid how it's done. But instead, they fall to their own tricks. Our stage up next. Top floor control, often very important here, but you know, the last time I said that, a team was actually just having a single player up top and then everybody else was down horizontally. It's not going to happen this time, as the hatch has been opened up and players are out here fortifying their positions with a massive amount of reinforcements being set up.
However,
yeah,
there is attention being paid towards the strip side. I was going to see if they actually just beelined a bit of strip control. We talk about the importance of the top and how the default holds can be done. The default take you'll often see is off on the opposite side. Clear stock, clear stage, clear construction, and angle yourself downwards, which is where you see these castles and where you see the Flores drones starting some work, but shot out by the Maestro cam.
Yep. Evil Eye taking care of that first RC turret, so a second one is on its way. And it's going to be taking care of the castle barricade, making sure that at least that part is going to be done. You do not run out of RC Reterras before you did that job. Second one going in from the window. It's going to be taking care of the barricade on the opposite side near the billiards. And that way, Ask has opened up both these points of ingress that they can now use on their attack. Opening will be made over the top floor just to provide some bit of pressure. Make sure BDS is feeling that pressure as well, as construction is getting opened up further by Lagones.
Yeah, this is isolating that play space. Palu's on the back end to strip. He's hoping he can catch a rotate on the window, or on the hatch even, but it's resets. The stuff is on the window. On the rappel on the tap, and Efek. Not sure if he punched. Yep. It was the breakthrough onto Garage. He's dropped down and rotated. Ranchiro's taken Nesk in the meantime. The fight and the break over the top. They're not entirely giving over the territory. The drones roll through, resets with a sliver of a health. Can't survive too long or prolonged an engagement. He wanted to go a bit wide there. Does he know that somebody's on the door? Are they waiting for the read? He gets himself whipped, and he gets himself caught out. Alems, he's able to swing in, and piece by piece, they're seemingly pulling it out. Lagones might just try and sneak a plant in this. Oh, what a sneaky, sneaky man. Lagones under the cover of darkness and right under the hatch itself. He saw an opportunity and suddenly they found a kill and they found the fight back. Ask has been pretty big throughout this tournament, pretty big throughout this series. Palu has the cover around the back end. Alems is hunting for where this diffuser has been planted and played. And they've just entirely caught BDS sleeping. There's one, there's another take. They've got to try and find the kit itself now in the final player. There's one for Lagones. No, he pulls back round. They've caught it out. They just pulled that round back, but that was almost a tragedy.
They go way too close for comfort there. The plan's coming through. No one had an ID, and suddenly they need to scramble back. Losing their man advantage momentarily, bringing it back into their own favor. Because they were all over the place. BDS 5-3, 2 more rounds, and we're headed towards a map number 3. But Team Liquid, they are on your heels. They're chasing you down. And as you're headed back towards Church and Arsenal, you better make sure that they are not going to be able to just beeline right into the site this time. Don't know what it is, but normally we see quite some turtle setups here, and they find quite some success when the hatch drops come through. But something about the Six Invitational this year has made it so this Arsenal hold isn't quite as effective. Whether it is people just rushing down the main stairs and running through the hallway, killing 2 people in Church, which we've seen in the previous game we had, the G2 one. Or if it's just everybody playing up top and then the opposite side deciding, you know what, we could just go for a plan because there's no one there to stop us. It just plays very differently compared to how we usually see it.
BDS, they've pulled themselves back in repeatedly. Every single time Liquid have been able to get around, BDS have been able to get the one right after it, at least. They're making sure they do not suffer the same fate, which was pretty much 7 in a row on the last map with only a single break for a breath from Liquid here. They've obviously called their timeout a fair few rounds ago at this point. Since then, it's been back and forth, but they've got to try and find a way to break the deadlock from this point onwards. 2 in a row, and suddenly it's all level. 2 more on that, and suddenly the series is done.
Liquid would be more than happy to sign for that. 4 rounds in a row, they'll take that. BDS won't be so happy with it though, and so they're going to try and stop that from occurring. Drones over the top floor are going to be clearing out, at least in terms of information, making sure no one's out there. First floor being droned as well, and they might just realize, like, hey, we are actually playing a classic turtle setup now. A minute has been gone off the clock, which means that they'll have about 2 left to start opening up all the hatches to get rid of utility that is left up on that first floor, and to prepare themselves for a drop or an execute, whichever way they prefer. Here's the Ivana going off. That means that these hatches are going to be opened up. There's nothing there to stop them. Only a couple of cameras that are going to be giving away the information, but that's not going to be worrying them too much.
Yeah, they've got the spots on everything. They've got the structural work done. They had a bit more of a slightly differently angled push last time, and it worked quite well with the free territory handed they took it. This time it's going to have to be a lot more blunt force. They've got to see if they can try and smash down the defaults, put the pressure onto blue. They're moving against these keeper barricades. There's a couple of tricky spots that they don't quite have the full angles on that side, but as the hatches fall, as the ground falls, it becomes more and more of an inevitability. We'll see the fight down, main stairs on the back end, and potentially the hatch drop here. Slight movements, not going for the impact trick. You can see he was a bit tempted, but it's always a risk when they've started opening up above as well.
Big risk. Opening is there, and Sure instantly trying to lean in, see if he can find anybody. Impacts are being tossed in to deal some damage to Palu. The earlier you deal with him, the better it will be for you if you're a BDS member. Lagonis going quite low. He's the one that's carrying that diffuser, and he's the one that potentially will have to plant it as Renchiro takes down Nesk.
They go for the drop inside the kitchen hatch and the dive right up the middle of the room, but they're there already. Renchiro just keeps smacking them back. He's able to finally find the end of it, Lagonis here, but a 2 versus 1 after the work that's already been done on the site, and he's got to head down and hold that kit for, too many seconds at this point. Bride and Likefak should be able to lock this in. And there it is. We are 6-3. BDS have 3 chances to send us to our 3rd map.
Ouais, vas-y, j'arrive, je pique. Et c'est pas... Allez, les gars, allez. On continue dans la tête, dans la tête. Allez, les gars, c'est bien.
Something with head.
You're doing your best.
Don't let them get him in your head, something like that. You know?
Or you're in their head.
Or you're on their head.
I mean, we saw the energy from them before, and Shiguro has just kept it on. 3Ks, maybe even a 4K.
It's been stepping up massively for the side of BDS when players like Shaiko and Likefak are a bit more quiet. It is the Lems and Renchiro that massively stepped up here on Club. Map point. 3 opportunities, and the bedroom will be chosen first. Can they keep it calm? Can they keep it all together here at BDS? Or will Liquid go on that resurgence we know they're capable of? And get those 3 rounds in a row. Suddenly bring us towards that overtime situation. Time will tell. BDS is going to be setting themselves up over the entirety of that top floor. I believe everybody is as Renchiro just returns as well. Means that with Likefak active currently in the cash room, it means that they need to go for that full clear. Otherwise, the windows and the balcony are not going to be safe to be used because of a single swing that Likefak could go for.
Waiting, holding, and hoping. But on your attacks and with the pressures of time, there's only so long that can really last. So, when do you put the pressure on? That's the sort of point of problem here. They're trying to get the idea of the locations, trying to find that loose BDS player.
Claymore being set up to stop any of these flanks from happening. They have happened before and, you know, could happen again. But BDS, they're feeling confident of the fact that if they turtle themselves down, they are going to be able to come out victorious here. Because it was every single time they had people roaming, they got caught off or they got flanked or separated from the rest when they found themselves punished for it. Quick opening through construction is going to allow them to start challenging the shield that is in the doorway of the actual bedroom. Reset's trying to find a head, not able to quite connect. Selma gets tossed in to open up. Might be replied to by Renshiro, who is playing quite close to the actual breach, but instead he just lets it happen. He lets the opening be made. He also realizes that with that open, it means that a plant from Jim most likely will not happen because there is no safe space anymore.
Liquid. You know, every single round is a death knell, and they're still fighting for their chance of making sure this doesn't slip away into the third map with a much more energized BDS. There's a drop right in and resets. He's able to find the kill on the back of it. They forced them out of logistics. Shaiko wants to swing back round, can't get the kill. Lagonis gets one of his own. Suddenly, oh, a little bit of a missed moment. We're in a 5 versus 1. EFAC's able to stop a single blood, but with 40 seconds, the swing underneath EFAC. He gets the response. They are the Solus, but they're planting on the bed, so he's not going to be able to stop this from underneath. Too little, too late, unfortunately. And they know exactly where he is. This should be Liquid's to lock out. They're going to buy some time, throw some flashes, draw some attention, cause some problems. But he has to only push up one way. There's no other way he can get there in time and get the kills. Look at this, though. They're rotating off. They've pulled themselves far away. They are sort of saying, we know exactly where you are. And at this point, you're pretty confident in knowing that we will be going over to another round. Ooh, that is a heck of a take. Now he's out.
Yeah. So the energy coming back in again. 6-4. 2 more rounds. We found ourselves OT. We found ourselves in an opportunity where Liquid might be able to take this to a 2-0. But for now, BDS still in the driver's seat of this second map. Looking to put themselves one leg ahead as well, as they are currently one behind. Our stage is going to be selected next for BDS's defense. Top floor, often important here.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
How is BDS going to play this? Is this going to be indeed one of those top floor extensions, or are we seeing a more horizontal approach? It looks like it will be top, as we see quite some players instantly rotate through. But often the reinforcement of that hatch is telling. If it gets opened, it means they'll play here. If it gets reinforced, it means they are willing to let it go. Okay, they will open it. Just putting the Evil Eye on there first.
Yeah, I'll open it with a second.
Hard to get rid of it. Yeah.
It's it you know, it makes it awkward to clear. You've got to either use a bit of ranged breach. You've got to try and maybe use something trickier.
5 seconds remaining.
But it allows you to look down, it allows you to keep an eye on what they're doing above the hatch. It makes approaching from that side a bit more awkward. They did have the Flores last time around, that would have been good at it. Otherwise, Nesk might be the answer with one of those charges.
Yeah, I don't think a grenade is going to be able to land there and stay there. I mean, it's going to be a very tricky throw to
that would be
have.
Close to a magic trick if that happened.
You need to basically like cook it so long so it explodes right as it reaches the wall. So it's possible. It's just that, you know, there's more consistent ways to deal with it, such as that breaching charge. And otherwise, you might just have to leave it up depending on the take you want to go for. Hatches will be opened up. Ask is going to be rotating himself around quickly and opening up the dirt tunnel. No, he's just going to be going on his drone. Provide some information game here. As Palu, he's knocking on the door of the strip club here, and he's seeing that it is seemingly very clear. So with his sledgehammer, he can quickly gain a lot of ground in the site here.
I mean, remember how this went last time? That back end was a little bit revealed from the opposite end. Lagonis popped his way around, put the kit down, and sure, it turned into the 3 versus 1, but the fact that you can pull that off without anybody knowing in a sort of 3 versus 5, you know, if that's something Liquid might try and build behind, that pressure, that change could be a bit dangerous. There's the play, there's the reveal. Does he have the catch? No, he does not. And this is the right decision. He pulls himself further away. Good use of the grenade there to sort of buy time. There was that split of coordination, and they have the breach.
Entry frag came through though from BDS, taking care of Ask. Reset's taking lots of damage now as well as he rotates past. Nask taking his space. He wants to be leaning into this fight. He wants to show the world what he has. As we all know, he does.
Reloading.
Rotating up just to drop back down again. Just waiting for it. You see him look at his teammates. They're looking to go for a bit of a coordinated push right here. He gets himself inside the bathroom. That's going to be a kill. He's going to find a second one because there's someone still stacked up there. Sees the rotation.
Shaiko just slips his way out. The pings were there. He knows he's being watched. There's pressure coming around on the back end. Look at this. If you're trying to force the territory, just send in Nask across the board. And, well, hey, remember when I said that's what they'll need to take care of that? That's what they've done, but Shaiko pops around, gets resets after almost getting got at the very beginning. They've now put pressure onto the kit plant, I believe itself. Nask keeps biting. Above, he's finding time, and from underneath, EFAC gets one. He's looking for the long-range fight on Billiards. There's a bit of pressure close in on the stairs itself. The two remaining players, they're gone in a blink, and BDS take their map of Clubhouse and send us hurtling to the third to decide who will go home.
They know it's not over yet. There is some happiness, but also a lot of focus on BDS. Because they know they've only just done that first leg and still need to get the second across the finish line. 7-4. Liquid not as strong here as they were on the previous. But before we discuss that any further, let's head over to a quick break.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Well, here we are once again, Hap. Two big teams, two potential favorites. One going home, one map left. Clubhouse was returning to a bit of form for BDS, but what do we get on the third, do you think?
Well, we are going to be going to Theme Park as the decider match between these two. BDS has played it 2 times over the last year. A win against M&M, a win against Team Liquid. They've been as often as it was banned against them. If we're looking at Team Liquid here, they have played it a lot more than that. They've played it 10 times over the last year, lost it 3 times, of which just 1 was against BDS, and they've won it 7 times. Some against FaZe, Direwolves, Heroic, MIBR, Dark Zero, and G2. So take it at what you want. That's the statistics that we have in front of us here. A 100% win rate over 2 plays and a 70 over 10.
Well, it was a different face that we got from Liquid on the second map as well. The 2 players that unfortunately find themselves towards the bottom of the board were 2 of the top in the first map themselves. I think even if you added Parlu's KD there to his KD from the first map, he's still like a 1.5.
He's still very positive.
Just to give a perspective on how well he played in the first map, they need some of that energy back. They've needed it the whole tournament. We got a taste of it. We thought we were in for a full day. Unfortunately, Club proved a bit challenging. Where will they find themselves on theme? And I said it before, those 2 maps that we've just seen, we did not get at the on-tripping final. That was now 7 of the comp maps we've seen between these 2 teams. This was one of them. This was the first. This was a 7-1 for BDS.
Yeah, that one was very convincing to go up against, and that was BDS, I believe, starting out on their defense. 5 rounds they managed to pick up there, and only losing 1 and then finding 2 on their attack. So I hope for Team Liquid they have been able to improve quite a bit on their theme, because otherwise we might find ourselves with a very quick decider if it turns out to become a repeat of the last time they met here.
Well, as far as I know, and we'll be in with the game soon to get the true taste of that in terms of the coin flip, it went into the favor of Liquid, who have opted to start on their defense. That is no surprise. I think to any team that wants to sort of hit this map, occasionally you get outliers of where teams want to go, but it feels like we've gone a little bit back traditional at SI, where everybody is opting for their defense side first. There's really not too many places where people are like, I want to lead them with an attack. I don't know if it's even happened this SI. There's obviously...
I have to check.
Yeah, there's a lot of games.
But I wouldn't be surprised. We're getting underway. The fist bumps are being given out. The mood is being set. 32% Liquid. The rest for BDS. Getting ready?
Zen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the dramatic music. We've had
a bit of dramatic music.
Yeah. We've had a lot more of a mixed day today than yesterday, where we saw, you know, how many underdog teams came through, how many of the lower sort of seed teams came through. Only 1 of the higher seed teams won a single game yesterday. Goodbye, Nook. Fair enough. I mean, not only do you have the lessons learned from your previous time against BDS, Nook's been played very, very well. You put, Likifak on that role, they find their way to slink away and cause problems.
Ying has been seeing quite a lot of bans throughout this tournament so far as well, and if she isn't banned, she is getting played quite a lot, so definitely finding her way into the meta again. Zami, I don't think we need to mention, unless you are a new viewer, basically tosses up some indestructible, overall bulletproof foam barricades with a knife. Sounds very difficult that way, but makes it very oppressive to play against. Alibi is the last one. That is just a gun that you're taking out of the equation right here.
I mean, it's a real
good gun.
It's a real target there, isn't it, as well?
It's a very
obviously.
good target, yes.
You know what can be done by the guns of BDS. I think it's almost like it's quite as a sign of respect. Or what is it? Is it respect or is it fear? Is the ban on Ian or Alibi?
Was it respect and fear?
Or respect? I mean, it could be both. Could be both.
Last time these two went against each other, BDS actually also banned Ying, and Liquid also banned Nuck. But then the defending bans were Melusi and Valkyrie, so those have changed out to Zami.
I mean, there's been nerfs to Melusi at least.
Yes,
and I believe that came in after. So that's understandable. Melusi has pretty much dropped off the face of the earth in terms of where she was compared to where she is this tournament. And that shows how much of a speed change can affect just how a player at this sort of level likes to bring them.
I mean, that's it, right? And I think the only example we need to be giving is the amount of shoulder peaks we have been seeing throughout the event so far. The slower your operator, the least successful you're going to be with him, because you can just swing in, but swinging out is going to be the issue, and you're just going to be exposing yourself for a bit too long. And the higher amount of speed you have, the easier it will be to just check things a little bit quicker. And the HP offset doesn't, well, basically compensate for that.
Who will get off to the first round and the first start? Both times so far, it's been BDS in this showing. And, well, they're getting the drone intel on the player just outside the cash stash swing. They're tucked close. And it's Palu. There's pressure that can be applied from the window around on the opposite end. There's pressure coming from the control room hatch as well. He surely reads just how much attention is being paid to him. How do you angle this fight? There's what looks like a drop on a Valkyrie cam.
Yep.
Inside control. So they know now that there's pressure in there as well. He's just trying to stick it for as long as he can without obviously suffering the wrong end.
Wasting time, right? And as the summer gets used there to get rid of the Surya laser gate, it allows a drone to pass on through and gather the information. Not quite sure if Palu's still around, and Magnet will actually take care of that first grenade. Palu falls back just a little bit again. Doesn't want to be the one to be on the bad end of the first engagement as Likafak takes and dies by Nesk's hand.
Yeah, on the opposite end, they are gone, removed from the board, and now Shaiko's going to see if he can try and maybe lean it back. They want to put pressure onto the wall of the site itself. They have control, so they're not going to get caught from above, but with all the attention paid towards the players right on the opposite side, well, there's only so much that you can do on the lean, and they know there's somebody in split. Shaiko's sort of baiting the fight, hoping it comes against him. They're hoping for the engagement in the middle as well. There's one for Shaiko right on the back end. There's somebody holding the pillar on the far side. Bride's going to plant. The drop onto Split is hard, but he hasn't been able to win that fight. Ask is going to just bite back some ground in a post-plant situation. Lems holding off on the back end. It's the support line, but it's a 4 versus 2. They have the man advantage, so they can do things like that. Rotate around on the back. Renshiro gets one. They know he's far away. They'll just get the kid in the meantime. And Liquid, for the first time today, win the first round.
Well done by them there. They realized that plan was going down. They were trying to lean back into it, but they were making sure they could isolate those players first. And Shaiko might have gone a bit too aggressive whilst the plan was going down to provide the support. He also died and basically left Bride all alone on that site. Yes, there was some support for maintenance coming in, but you are outnumbered at that point anyway. And if you then lose another one, well, that's starting to snowball quite quickly. So Liquid played their numbers well here. They did what they needed to do. They lead in 1-0, headed towards Bunk next, right above the throne room.
Okay, now we start to get a little bit of spice in the game. Throne is obviously often seen as one of the most sort of solid places to set yourself in. The drive there to get the kit down, it's not the most uncommon for either of these teams to go up and face against. It's something where we're always going to have that brutal game. It's even what we have highlighted as a very big positive. The BDS's defenses in this series, and here Liquid, they're able to lead in with the same ideals.
Frost mats to be set up as a bit of a surprise. Bit of a Valentine's gift to be given together with the Razor Bloom.
5 seconds remaining.
Don't know how well it will be received by the BDS members, but you know, it's a gift nonetheless. You cannot look a gift a horse into the mouth.
They're using the offset, maybe to try and buy themselves a little bit more of a direct fight against the potential cash door. You often see that as an Ossa lead in outside here where Shaiko is. They can obviously be used on control room, the push on the back end as well of Cafe if you get yourself in a comfortable position, but it's a little bit more awkward there to sort of get yourself shuffled in, get yourself set up. You abandon it pretty quickly in that scenario. Palu, he's still playing here once again. He's still holding on to intel. Shaiko's hoping that he goes for something aggressive, but Palu, I think, is just happy to sit, wait, and waste time.
Of course he will be. I mean, the time is on the favor of the defense, right? So the more he wastes and the more players he actually occupies here, the better it will be. And slowly but steadily, they're all coming around. They're actually just rotating down towards the bottom floor. Chiro looking to open up, but he's quite afraid of a potential C4 to come in. Not from his area, because Valkyrie tossed it out elsewhere, but Paolo's definitely looking to lean in.
That's it. He's tucked on the corner. He wanted to catch that drone that just didn't hit the gate. Renshiro just hops the fight. Fair enough. He's still as thirsty as he was for engagements in the previous map, and he's able to lead in against Palu. Efak, in the meantime, he's pushed up off his showers. They've been able to take and wrest some control much quicker than they were previously, and they get that opening body at the cost of a little bit of a spicy zap from an electrified window. Almost a fadeaway there onto Efak as the Habana. They're going to get this wall opened a little bit wider, give themselves an angle as Reset's causing problems. No longer has a C4, so can't really do too much underneath. Instead, rotates his way back in. There's that Ossa set up inside control. Please no one fall for that frost mat on the left-hand side. Thank you. As that's removed and they can sort of face-to-face against the shield extension into wards.
Very problematic if someone stepped into that. Either way, Talon Shield is starting to move up here, and the rest of BDS is looking to get in behind it. Going to be using it as a bit of a security reason to get that plan down. First is set up to cover, but the impact grenade will take it down. A lot of damage done onto Alems as well.
Does also destroy the other shield that was there as well. It was sort of a little bit in the way. They can now have the whip. The break will come across. It only takes one more impact. Ask suffers the wrong end of an impact, but resets with the rotation. Gets Bride on the back end. Tucked behind the control room now. He's suddenly causing big problems, and Nask is putting the punishment back down. They have the body advantage. And that has been a huge bit of motion here. At what point do you try and formulate the fight? Renshiro, he gets his second for the round. Alems, he's able to get one, but now in the 3 versus 2, they've got to see if they can try and get this down to the site. 9 seconds, and Ask, he's not able to win the fight. Nesk wins his out. He's going for the rotate. They don't have the kit. It's the 1 versus 1, and he fires the right way! I was so ready to say wrong, but he proves me wrong, and BDS proves around.
He didn't even need to fire there. He wasn't being watched. He missed the shots, and of course that happens every now and then, but it is just so painful in a round like this. We had a huge flank from resets coming up, just basically wrecking the attack, wrecking the whatever plan was there, and wasting so much time. BDS, they solved that issue, but it came back to that 1v1. And they win it out. Likafak gets the crucial shot, whereas Nask missed them and gets awarded the round for it. That's how you gotta see it. Gotta hit your shots to win those rounds. And now 1-1, BDS, they've just gotten that little bit of a boost in momentum, or rather morale, as they started screaming it out again. I'm kind of afraid for the monitor of Renshiro whenever they win this game. But that might be falling off the desk.
I adore the energy we're getting from this game. I think we're so lucky to have this much heat. It's even quoted by the people, you know, that have been able to watch Renshiro for years and years and years at this top level at the same position we are. We obviously were once upon a time big fans of the game.
Yes.
That we're lucky enough to get to where we are. But even they, even Milos, the historian himself,
it's like, what is this Renshiro?
Is like, we have never seen Renshiro like this before. And it is just so cool. I love this game. Okay, 1 versus 1. They found themselves now onto the drug lab on the side of the swing. It's a bit of an awkward sight, but 2 Flores drones, and they've cleared so much of the problematic parts of the defense underneath both of the 2 main pressure point windows. It's sometimes tricky to hold. You're going with a bit of a vertical extension, but you're not entirely locked into it. There are little sort of ways to slink your way in. It's an important jump out fight that Ask wins. Almost doesn't. Alems finds resets, but then Parley finds Renshiro. It's all over the shop, but it's turning into a bit of a liquid swing, and suddenly, I mean, there was a liquid round out of absolutely nowhere.
I don't even know how to summarize that. It's like, you know, BDS just doing their thing, and then the jump outs happen, and just aggression all over the shop.
I guess that's the other. I was going to say, you know, it's usually a hold from on top. There was a hold from the top. Yeah. Or you can just, you know,
Sometimes you don't need
Get all your engagements.
Just go for it.
In the comparison of that round with the round before, where you couldn't have had the last kill be any later in the round, possibly, outside of a diffuser plant extension.
It was like a really early round.
To that round all being done. Like, prep phase is probably in the same length of time as the prep phase.
It's just to make sure, you know, that we keep the average length per round down.
Yeah, balances things out.
Balancing out, just to make sure we stay on schedule to some extent. Teams want to be going to a map 3, that's fine. We just need to make sure that we do not go over the 3 hours maximum. But yeah, that's a quick blow for BDS. They're going to be coming back from that. Well, probably by trying to find a similar kind of reply and send it to their addresses. This is going to be thrown. Managed to get a plan down here the last time BDS attacked, but they quickly fell apart right afterwards. How can you make sure you get that plant but not fall apart right away?
Team Liquid. Blow for blow, back and forth. We start a go here on our third map, and you know the reminder is whoever wins this series has a game later on today versus M&M. It's a sort of showdown. M&M, they're pretty familiar with BDS. They've generally handed them most of the times. Liquid.
Different story.
Different story, but different engagements and a different Liquid. We've had a Liquid at this event that we've sort of been missing pieces and parts of it. We got a taste of it today. How much is in the tank? And they got to win this one first. And that's on the back potentially of this half, because for the context of the last time these two teams met, obviously most of the game was played on BDS's defense, which they took, what was it, 5?
Yeah, 5 out of the 6 rounds, and after that they managed to get 2 attacking rounds without a reply being handed to them.
Oh, here's some pressure around on the back. Evac knows there's somebody close, and Palu just pulls away as the pressure comes on the window. He wanted to see if he can get a sneaky engagement before the cover was there, but the cover was there.
So be careful that he doesn't just get jumped in again by Renshiro, because the man is also like different kind of energy throughout this game. Phone calls are going off. It's just going to be making sure that whoever might be on a bit of a hiding spot is going to be heard, is going to be replied to. Grenade gets tossed in from below, but Palu wasn't quite there. Still will be, though, from Likafek and Renshiro, as Nesk will find a response himself. It's not going to be enough to even out the number count, though.
Oh, sprays a little bit too high for the player. That sure isn't. Shaiko from underneath. He's low enough to get the take, and it's one of those rare moments where a killer's come through our feed with another 2 joining it. Lagonis and Nesk, both back in the site, both holding on. They're trying to see if they can get one more catch before they're in the full defense. The slip, the Iana, the jiggle in the shoulder on the door itself. They're sort of just trying to bait the intel, bait the Vites, and bait the movement, but look at how the 2 remaining Liquid players are moving. They're trying to make sure that they're the first step. There's a break directly above, and the line keeps moving. The wall will fall as well. They're tucked, holding, hoping to just remove one, but they don't see them.
Spot came through, Renshiro using his hammer to open up and instantly following up as well. Lagonis is now the last man standing, gets the first, not the second. Shaco shuts him down, and that is going to be keeping us in a back-to-back round trading kind of game. Find ourselves at 2-2 right now. BDS isolating the roamers, basically doing that with minimal casualties, and then shutting down the site itself.
We couldn't have a worse reflection of how things went at the start of this series, where it was 3 rounds and 3 rounds, solid chunks and blocks. There was a lot of build together. Okay, now they're starting here. It truly does emphasize just how far we've come in this series, just how far these teams have driven themselves against each other. And again, the person that's going to find the engagement, the person that's popping off for either of these 2 teams has just rotated and changed. Renshiro and Nesk now 2 that seemingly have some of that energy, but it's movement to Shaiko, making sure they can swoop things up. Efac's generally been steady throughout the day, a little bit behind the pace at points, but he's keeping himself heads in. And at the same time, Lagonis constantly causing problems. Ask, it's just a long list of... I can't see where the give is on either of these 2 teams.
The thing is, we have 10 players currently in this server. They're all capable of clutching. They're all capable of gunning. They're all capable of putting numbers on the board.
Yeah,
it's just if one doesn't do it, the other one will.
It's like an all-star match that's just been organized.
It is, but it just all happened to play on the same team.
Yeah.
And up against each other right now for a knockout match.
I guess that's why they were finalists. And
yeah, I guess that's why they were finalists, major champions, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, can someone break the double down deadlock? Will it be BDS? Is the first able to tie 2 rounds, or can Liquid keep and at least guarantee themselves an even defensive half here? A little more room to grow after their attacks last time these two teams met weren't quite what you would want. This is a different way of putting pressure. They're trying to see if they can force Palu into a more uncomfortable situation. I mean, he's been in this corner at the start of every single round. What's the attempt here? Pre-firing the hop-in and the removal via the Gemini replicator. There is the frost mat to stop that swing through this time, and Palu, under the intense pressure, pulls back.
This time they were going to be ready for the fact that if they want to go for another aggressive jump through, they were not going to get away with it with their lives. For now, whilst Palu has fallen back, at least some ground has been forfeited by them. Likafak is down below as well. He's going to see what he can make happen. Quickly checking on his drone to see if everything is still going to be safe. I believe he's going to be just clearing out the route. Maybe for Inchiro to come over and get some grenades in from below, or maybe he's just going to be seeing if he can catch up any of the roamers down below. Either way, BDS continuing on towards the computer room. Long angles all the way through the map here.
Oof.
That's painful.
Yeah, shot the disc. They got some attention. You can see the adaptations as well. It's not just the frost map, but the Claymore out at the top of the Dragon Stairs, where we had the Valkyrie rotate from the last time round.
Was there to actually shot it back then?
But it's this focus as well. They're doubling with the drones. They have some attention. They've got EFAC keeping a watch down underneath as well. Shaiko, he wants to step up. They've maybe not checked Ask, who's closer, I think, than they're fully sure of. There's the reveal of the drone. There's the first fight for him. Suddenly they got to try and strike and pull him out. The Razor Bloom pops off, and they're trying to find the fight at the top. Shaiko does find Nesk. They got to recircle around Ask, who's still tucked around on the opposite end of the hard wall. He's surviving. Bride removes Lagonis. There's the pre-fire swing. Bride doubles it down. Now with one more for Shaiko, and a fat last one. BDS. Guaranteed the even half. Looking for one more.
Ils peuvent rien faire sans Val. Ils n'ont pas de Val, ils sont baisés. Ils ont plus de Val, ils peuvent rien faire, les gars. Allez, les gars.
With all the energy of somebody driving around Paris, which is a terrifying thing.
Oh, is that what this energy is? This is what reminds of the Arc de Triomphe. And
if you have to navigate.
Yeah, have to navigate. You just need to take. You need to take the space. That's what they're doing. They're taking the space.
Taking the space.
It's just like you're driving on Arc de Triomphe.
I mean, it is just those little movements. Ask getting the first off, putting himself in that position. We've seen those plays not punished before against BDS. It's that growth. It's that response and the return. Liquid. I mean, now that they've fallen at least that round, they can still pull this back and get themselves even. They find themselves, you know, onto a site that has been a little bit more mixed. But
seconds left.
The first time round was theirs, and now it's time to show that they've grown in to make it theirs again.
5 seconds remaining.
They played their numbers well the first time around. They didn't give that opportunity the second time as BDS got themselves, you know, that double entry to work with. So whoever is going to be getting that first kill is going to be crucial for the remainder of this round. Palu again is going to get himself in this little spots around the cash room. He really likes playing here. He's been, I think he's been in this position more than he hasn't been throughout his time alive in this game so far. Either way, BDS. What are you going to do? How are you going to be approaching this? Claymores are being set up to stop any of 40 jump outs. Now, we've had jump outs happen on the opposite side of the map as well. I'm wondering if they actually, yeah, they do have a Claymore there as well. You cannot see it on your screens, but I just quickly checked on the overhead. And that's just to make sure that if someone goes up on the rappel, they will not be instantly punished for it, for example. And of course, we are finding ourselves in Throne, but a rappel or playing from the barrel's windows is still something that happens every now and then.
BDS. The calls, the approach, the opposite end, and as you said, it is a take. that happens from time to time. It's a little bit awkward. There is some pressure from above, but you might be able to swing your way in with this. A quick douse of pressure. They're inside the site. It's a tough first fight. They're doing their best to hold on the back. They just swing, and there's at least a trade out, but they have to flood their way back in. The diffuser's been recollected, and they just tuck in on the far end behind the hard wall. It's a bit awkward, but with Palu getting one more, and there's one more on the swing, resets on the back end, a post plant. But where do you go? You're truly backs against the wall, and you're hoping the range of your guns will outplay theirs. They can't drive in too far away. Liquid has to try and form themselves with a misthrown C4 that could have defined it, but Nesk sure is making it his own resets. BDS try to drive something sneaky home at the end of the half, but all we have now is an even one.
Hesitation kills. So I'm going to be saying there because they wanted to go in quick, but then they stopped in the middle of the rotation that was there for them to use. And that's what like slowed them down a bit too much there. They lost the initial kill, or at least in a trading situation. And from there on, you lose so much time. You start losing people on your way in, and then, you know, you might get that plan down. But again, the numbers advantage will be there for Team Liquid. 3-3. That means that BDS, they've gotten the amount of attacks they had the last time, +1.
+1.
Now let's see if they can win 4 defenses instead of 5. Because that will be enough to lock this out. Or if Liquid is going to be able to get more than one single attacking round.
I mean, this is it. Again, we talk reflections, we talk how these two teams have met before, how they've met in this series, and where we're at versus where we're going and where we've been. We were here first. This was the first map in the previous meeting of these two teams at the start of a very long best of 5. It's showing up here at the end of this best of 3 after the 2 maps have been diddly fought either side, to find ourselves here on the reverse of how we led into last one. I mean, last time, before we can quote Liquid, struggling here. BDS, last time they were 3 and 3.5 on this map. They ended up losing it, and that was against W7M.
And if I remember correctly, we actually have a history of Team Liquid beating... No, actually didn't beat W7M on this map. They beat them on the previous map, Clubhouse.
Okay.
So that doesn't quite play out the way it would. But still.
You never know. You never know. You never truly know. You can quote everything, and at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to throw all that preparation, all that knowledge into the aether and see who wants it more. And it will start at the top, as it often does. The control towards Cash Stash, the control on the back end. Shaiko's on a roam, and Lems is keeping a keen, Glass's assisted eye for maybe the Valkyrie underneath with the C4 to potentially cause some problems. They're hoping they just go in with the entrance here to try and force the fight against the Solus. It's like a 2-step bait. And will EFAC be rewarded? No. A couple of steps out of sync there, not quite on the right side. They were hoping it was a good idea.
Forgot that was soft for a moment.
Yeah.
So you barely see any of those C4s like that used, but no one really gets caught off by this little trick here. They're definitely going to be aware of that for the next couple of rounds. By the way, Liquid, they escaped the first 90 seconds alive, all of them. It's a rare occurrence to see because so far this game has been so explosive. People just dying so early on. And Palu on the hunt now. Knows someone is on the other side of that wall, just doesn't exactly know where. He's going to give himself some pinks to pre-fire, but he's gone off in the meantime, Shaiko. He's holding more passively now.
It's also potentially to offer some support to teammates. There's Palu to find Shaiko. He's able to take care of the fight, and EFAC gets one right back, pops himself around for the rotate as the breach comes through. He wants to support his team, and that comes with a little bit of width as Lagonis doubles it down on the break. Is that? No, the second impact does get the catch, the electricity, and the breach will stand. 50 seconds. They still have time to try and force it, but with the Thatcher on the board, with the play there, it's a little bit of a missed moment here for Liquid.
That means they need to force it now, and it seems like 2 might be going for splits and 1 or 2 for Dragon. Barbwire is being punched. Liquefac will take down 1, and that means that suddenly there's going to be a lot of pressure suddenly from offside that they need to worry about as well. 25 seconds for Cheer. All you need to do is stand up and pick up the kill, but he stays hidden for now.
For the wub, he's waiting for it, but Bride's there, and EFAC's dancing with the last remaining Liquid player all the way in the lab on the far side. A 360 doesn't net the results. We appreciate the effort. However, Liquid, if I talked about it being impossible when we had the vice versa of this, it's the same here. BDS take their first defense and pull ahead. Continue like this.
Exactly.
If this next round falls to BDS, I'm curious if we'll see a timeout called for Liquid. Obviously, they would be in the 5-3 situation, but then they'll be leading into the third site. Maybe one that you would assume they may be able to get a bit more pressure on. It's a lot of guessing game. A lot of what do we think?
It is.
Mentality. For me, it's not a question. We've seen games today. The G2 game, when Fabian sort of called the timeout, he was entirely right to, based on the mentality of how the players were. As we've all seen, that is not the question here for these two teams. And you don't want to break that up. You don't want to be the one that accidentally pulls your team out of that when they think that they're going to take the next round and they think that they're going to take, and obviously they can call the timeout as well. So it's that tricky dance of how much do you risk?
Yeah, you don't want to be taking them out of their good mood and, considering they're all in a flow right now.
5 seconds left.
And it is still pretty much even, like we're 3-4. This round could just as well go to Liquid because that's what we've been doing throughout the entirety of this game so far. And if you then pull them out, well, that can either hurt or help you, depending on, of course, what you have to say. It is the Solace with the shotgun.
Not the most common, but
the most common. We saw last round as well, I believe, with the final kill. It works out. The Spas is a good shotgun. It's just that the P90 is often a really good opportunity to play with as well. Early Likafak feels a little bit more confident in his ability with the secondary weapon, which of course makes a shotgun suddenly like a way better option if that is the case.
Look at this, the removal of the drones, the problem with the intel. He's maybe hoping he gets swung on from a close engagement, but well, with so many drones coming towards him, there's one just tucked on the opposite end. He's happy with the SMG, rips it a little bit out of place to make contact with the head and doesn't want to see the continued pressure. A shield is always going to be a bit of a decisive factor in that engagement.
The gun is going on the chase. The serial laser gates are going to be keeping him in place, at least for now. He's not going to be moving too far out. The info games are going to be removed as well, as he will make his way over to a different side of the map. There's an extension into initiation, a shield right in front of the rotation, and in front of that you have that serial laser gate, so that is going to be something they need to deal with. A lot of utility as well that you got to waste. But they actually just closed the rotation, so...
Get it locked in.
There you have it.
Bad timing to appear there. And, well, what do you do now? What part do you move on to next? They've suddenly got themselves a lot more safety. The breach is going to come through, but it buys cost of utility, 2 of them. And you got to hope that it pops out in a way that you like it, and you definitely can't just walk through it as you might have wanted to or expected to as the Monty. So you got to try and swing a fight there first. There's resets. Talking of swinging a fight, suffering just a bit, but getting his drone in towards the other side, the other idea. Placed and prepped, ready on the corner, and this will fall. Palu with the rotate round on the back end. They're just using this as an angle.
Shows you that they don't want to go for a B-bomb site plan, at least not for now. Just have it there as an opportunity to catch them off when they're rotating. Bit of a pressure point, as Lems takes a lot of damage. All the way from one of the repels. Oh no, Cafe. Palu about to be going in. Do they know about Chaiko here?
Oh, they knew! They take the site as well. Lagonis with the shield up, but Alems with the gun back down. Palu stuck on the wrong side of a gate that he cannot walk through, but has the grenades to burn it, and there it goes. He will survive. Efac tucked on one side, waiting for them to go for the plant. Wants the bait and strike. They're forcing the fight on Renchiro, but now it's just the Monty versus the world. He drops the shield, tries to find the pistol fight. They're out of there. They're not going to sit around and see what happens because they know have the time to pull this back round. There's the rotation, and there is another French round.
So they actually closed both rotations mid-round.
Well, let's see what they have to say about it.
Yeah.
chato, a gente perde tempo, eles voltam o bomba, recua, choque, caralho, tá ligado? Faz o olho igual maluco, começa a pegar a mulher de entrada forte, mano. Todos os ataques podem fazer.
Mas... Mano, esse round, tipo, o que ele deu errado no final? Eu não...
Não, o cara do que respeitou a gente, aí tomamos no corredor também.
O cara ficou amarelo, viu? Só bate com o Wake, igual maluco.
Se passa, seria bom.
Polonesque pretty much even
Não, mas depois ele vai subir direto a bomba, mano.
in this game so far. 6 and 7 kills, I believe they both have. But both need to step up just a little bit more to get back at BDS here.
Attackers need to locate
Because
and
what
defuse
happened there
bombs.
is they realized that a Montaigne push was coming, BDS did, and they closed off both rotations near the top of yellow, but also near the initiation, which really brings it down to the fact that yes, you need to be using your Selmas now, but you run out of heartbeat so quickly if you want to open up all those walls. And then you have one angle and the other one, you know, was completely open up to actually walk through. They used that, but BDS was ready for it. Monty again coming out. The Amaru is getting picked out. It's due to the fact that we are headed to lab. It's not going to be, you know, a site you usually do use. Your Garahugo.
Hey, remember the last time we were at lab? I'm going to say no, because it was over within about 20 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was a sudden fight and explosion, and we didn't really see the site. This time with the Monty, you assume we will. The Flores drones were very good in their usage before, and you know, you hope they're going to be the same again here for Liquid. If you can get one right under the window, you do this, and it should get both. And the ADS was shot as well. You know the next is potentially can come around us. He's opened up the rotate and the back end. They're going to impact that off. Doesn't get the second one, unfortunately. So they now have at least a rotate angle from that wall.
RC Roteros are very key on this site, just to take out as much utility as you possibly can early on. Alam's got himself spotted. Renshiro will be joining him as a bit of support, just to make sure that he's not going to be receiving too much pressure without there being any answer for it. Resets is looking to take the fight for him. Now, he does have 2 air jibs still left in pocket. If they want, they can try and go for a flashbang, then get the air jib out and try and go for a push right behind it.
Ooh, the timing there. One goes up, one goes down. They're still burning it, but there it is. One apiece. EFAT goes down at the same time. Arc does get dropped in that engagement, but they should be able to...
Frostmat.
Oh no, it was a Frostmat. I thought he was on the shoulder. No, my mistake. That was Nesk. But the Frostmat down on the far end. It might be too far away to get the audio confirmation, but it's still a lot of time on the reset. And they're going to go for the fight. There's the entrance of the Montaigne. They're just going to keep going in a direct line towards the impression here of Renshiro. He's got to get out of there. At that point, you know, as long as you're being watched, they're watching you. They get Ask up as well on the far end. And at this point, 2 BDS bodies dead and Liquid. After their timeout, have a good bit of control. Can they make it to the finish line of the round?
Full rotation coming through after the pickup and after they managed to well, basically flush Renshiro out. Everybody's fallen back down towards that first floor, with the exception, I believe, of just Ask, who's setting up some of those breaching charges. He is, of course, low. You don't want him to be the first one in because, well, you know, he might be taken down. That's the Monty just chasing Renshiro, and they have no clue. It's a double jump in as Reset takes down Shaco. Somehow, Renshiro lives here for a little bit too long.
Reset pulls off the triple kill on the back end. Brede is now all that's left, but with the Monty in 30 seconds, it's not gonna be easy. They're right up on side, causing a problem. They're gonna drop the shield and get the plant down. There's a bite back instantly. 5-4, this is far from over yet.
We might have had those 2 rounds in a row for BDS, but Liquid are looking to bring this back. A good round here on Drug. Managed to isolate the players up top, send them back down, get the entry, and leverage those numbers. That's such an important skill to have as a team, leveraging your number advantage. Because too often what we've seen during the Six Invitational so far is that a team can have a 1 or 2 man advantage and then they still throw it away. Suddenly it's a 3-on-3 and the opposite team will win it. It's something that in this particular map we haven't seen as often because both BDS and Liquid are playing their trade game quite well. Brings us to 4-5. Now it seems like the Gara hook of Amaru will be brought. there's still the opportunity to change out. Might just be to quickly go for a clear up on that top floor. Get yourself inside quickly, either on computers or the break room, and see if you can maybe get on the back of one of these defenders. There's a lot of reinforcements are coming down on the top floor, even though we're not playing there.
Must locate and defuse a bomb.
So let's see how Resets will use it.
It's just this tricky moment right now for Liquid. They've obviously been able to take the tertiary side. I talked about we might not even see the timeout because of how the momentum of the game is going. They've taken that, and you've seen this was part of the conversation as well. Will the difference be made here if it is on the first pick, on bringing the game back to even? That could spell a bit of danger for BDS. It's in underneath. Hey, remember when we saw this almost before? The last time we were here with Doki, well, this time it's not successful for either team, and those bullets might have just saved the life. Quick bit of pressure here on the bottom of the yellow stairs onto the wall itself. At least stop it being a rotatable breach, but it's an angle, and that's a risk, and that's a problem, and they can move off for a while and do some of the work elsewhere.
Yeah, Lamb's afraid he would be followed up upon if he stayed too long there, if he took too much time getting that shot. So, you know, better a bit messy and make sure it's no rotate than lose your life and make sure that that wall stays closed, but instantly gets opened up afterwards. Top floor is being taken now by Liquid. Resets will be getting himself into the break room in a moment. He's just waiting for all the drones to be coming through. Now knows it's going to be clear, and he's going to be making sure it truly is. C4 from below there from League Effect could be throwing a spanner in the works if they're not too careful. Just waiting for some information. Using the default cameras as well. That truly could be beneficial for BDS.
A lot of time here for Liquid, a lot of time for them to see if they can try and find a loose player, and EFAC maybe is considering the fact that he was gone unchecked. There's the breach on the hatch, and actually the last time we were here, remember there was a bit of a tragedy with the hard breach on the opposite end. This time, they're going with the alternates first, so the final bit will be easier to conquer. Palu, he slips his way across. He was hoping for an engagement on the back end of it, but still, time to work, time to cook, time to put the pressure down towards barrels. The flashes go out, the drones go around as well, and BDS still waiting. Still holding themselves with a little bit of that width there. Shaiko under the hatch, the drop comes out right behind him. Does he know? Onto the arcade side. There's EFAC on the swing on the door. Palu sees the first engagement, blinds on the second, but a second too late. And now in the 4 versus 5, they're going to see if they can try and crack their way in the back, but Bride gets one locked in. There's another for Bride, and Renshiro on the door for all the weighing up, measuring, and the scales. The only thing that's the result is a flawless round, and only one separates BDS from knocking out Liquid.
Renshiro's charging up his true madness here for one more round potentially. Liquid, they have won one attacking round. They were able to do that last time these two met here as well in the Jönköping finals. They need more though. They need 2 more to stay alive. But so far it's been looking unlikely. The one round that they won, they leveraged their numbers well, but in the others, they instantly get either traded out or it was BDS that managed to get the entry kill. Either way, Bunk is where we'll head. And this is where we saw the initial Montaigne push to come through. That's when they closed up the rotations, when they saw that was going to be a problem. And they just isolated them. They took the fights one by one from angles they did not expect, and Liquid lost out on a round they could have won there.
BDS. Oh, it's close, and to be honest, it's not really a question of if you can close it out, because we know you have that ability. It's not a question if Liquid can bite back, because we know that they can do that just as well, but is this being the full stretch back on a map that they weren't able to take before? It's a much closer result for Liquid, and it's still not over, but it's always something that weighs. This site, to be fair, with the push of the Monty last time round, it did a bit of work, did a bit of distance. There was the rotate round on the back end. It comes down to a sort of 2 versus 1 and 1 versus 1 on the other side. What is the difference maker? What is that little bit extra?
Drones going in. Information needing to be gained, because they are a round away from being sent home. There's no time for risks anymore. You need to be 100% sure of every move you make. And of course, sometimes you will have to go for a risk. Sometimes you have to push right behind a lack of information, and maybe Liquid will find themselves in that situation in a couple of seconds. But for now, do everything you can to find the entry and make sure it does not go traded.
And they're concerned about a jump out. I mean, they punished BDS with that themselves last time round. That's not really how BDS have led on with their holds. They're sort of happy to, you know, let Liquid have what they've handed over and then make sure that they take nothing they don't want them to. Resets, he's up and in, and he's right back out. Chaiko watching on the back end, and Alems with a double. As Ask has slunk his way into Cafe, but the only thing being served is a bit of pain. Palu, though, a quick response onto Arcade is the only one left, but not for long. BDS 2-0 on recent major swings versus Liquid. And unfortunately, Liquid fall away. BDS's run continues in the lower bracket. And this will not be the 2021 Cinderella story for Team Liquid. This might be the one for BDS.
Another Brazilian team being sent home by the Europeans. And it is just painful to see, because these are some household names in the top tier of Siege. We said it during the Jönköping Major, they cannot retire without ever winning a title, but this time they get knocked out so early, they weren't even close enough to start thinking about it. It's unfortunate to see, but surely they will rebuild themselves, they will come back, and they will come back stronger next year, where hopefully, finally, they get that major under their belts.
The day is not over for BDS, though. And as they find themselves signing off against their opponents, they know that up ahead of them is, I mean, in some regards, just as tough as a hurdle for them, sure. It might be a team that doesn't quite have the same huge stage acclaim, but it's one that definitely has BDS's name already in their eyes.
Yeah, they're going to be playing against M&M later, and M&M has been in the European League able to be a worthy adversary, taking wins away from them. And, you know, we've seen this as well, that with these same region matchups, those really do go down to, well, the wire. 15 rounds, every single map. We'll find out.
But we'll find out after a quick break and the desk to break that one down.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back, friends, to the studio live from Six Invitational 2023. I'm also your host, and EU has taken another win, baby. BDS victorious against Team Liquid to knock them out of the running. And here we are with Monsieur Brian. Where is Brian? He is here on the desk. Lems, congrats on the win. How are you feeling?
To be honest, I'm feeling very great. I think we played much better than the previous matches we played. And but the thing is, like, I'm very happy, but I know that we need to stay focused for the next match tonight.
Lads, we have Demo and Ollie, of course, on here. Gonna be asking some questions. So what do you guys have in mind to our good LMs?
Brian, talk to me about Chalet, because that was obviously the first map. A lot of 1v2s that you guys were letting slip, mostly because I think Paulo had great game, and he was just anything you guys tried to do was just killing you every single time. What is it about you? Was it communication today? What was the situation there where you're kind of losing these rounds that you should be winning?
So I think that today we didn't repeat the same mistakes as yesterday, because yesterday we should have go 2-0 against W7M. We should have beat them 2-0. But we did like few mistakes, like we cannot close rounds. So we are very frustrated yesterday. And but today we said, okay, guys, if there is something that happened that is not supposed to be happening, like for example the 1v2, don't react to it. Just stay like robots, focus, and we'll win anyway. And that's what we did. We didn't show emotion or anything. We just focus on what we have to do, and it worked today.
A question that I've got, talking about emotion and going off the back of that. Renshiro today, there's something got into that guy, because he was really animated today. He was really alive. He was banging the desk. He was really getting behind you guys. Is that that's not always a side of Renshiro that we see every single play day?
To be honest, I think this is the face of Renshiro, for example, when we went to Jonkoping or when we played the EU final in last December. Like I said, Renshiro is a guy that is very shy. He doesn't talk that much, but when he's comfortable, with the ambience, the good mentality, good vibes, he's unstoppable. And I think today we had a very good mentality, very good vibes into the team. We were confident. So, for example, we knew that we could have lost Chalet, but we knew that Clubhouse we got this because. It's Clubhouse. And,
didn't say that yesterday.
And Team Park, I think people underestimate a lot us on this map. We beat Liquid 2 times on it, and Liquid is one of the best teams on team. So. Yeah, don't underestimate us on team.
There was a time where BDS sucked on Theme Park, but that was when it was just introduced into the rotation. That's been a while from now. But M&M Gaming is your next opponent in just a few hours. So it's a team that you know very well, right, from your own region. But they've been playing very differently here at SI. What are your thoughts?
I think that M&M is a great team, always has been a great team, to be honest. We practice them a lot, so we know what they are capable of, strategy-wise, aim-wise, mechanics-wise. They have insane players. So obviously we will, it will be a bit of a weird match because they kind of know how we play. We also know how they play. Right now we are a bit under the emotion of the match that we just finished, but I think we just need to rest, get focused for that match, because I think it will be the same level. It will be a hard match, and that we need to win. So full focus, don't underestimate them, and that's it. And we need to keep the good vibes things. Sorry.
Now, with this done, anything you'd like to say to your fans ahead of the BDS M&M game?
Okay. Thanks to all the fans. Thanks to all the fans that are supporting us. You give us energy and force for the loser bracket that is coming for us. So thanks a lot for that, and we'll do our best to not disappoint you. And for the French people, merci à tous les gars, on se bat pour vous, on va tout donner, et puis voilà, et puis vous inquiétez pas, on va tout donner. Voilà, je fais plein de bisous.
See how he changes when going from English to French. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, LMs.
Thank you very much.
And good luck for your next game against M&M Gaming. C'est dans 3 heures, 3 hours from now.
Yeah.
You excited for that?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
That was LMs here on the desk with us. Let's continue on with our analysis into map 1, Demo X. Let's get it started. What happened on Chalet?
Well, Milosh, I got a little bit excited when we started on Chalet.
Did you?
Chalet was a map for me that you could tell straight from the off that this was going to be one of those games that goes down in the history books of lower bracket for SI, because we've got two titans battling it out against each other here. Now, it was a fairly slow start for Liquid. It was a great start here for BDS, but something happened, a little bit magical during that Chalet game, and Palu came alive. And BDS, they could not put a foot right on that map after that point.
We were watching it and we thought that, wow, Liquid are looking different vibe, different mentality. The passion's there. The classic Paulu clutching a Neska straight over to him, screaming in face to him how good he is. It's vintage Liquid. That's what we've seen from the first map. But like LM said, they were okay because they knew what the second map was, and it's obviously Clubhouse, the stronghold that we know that BDS love.
You see Paulu on the scoreboard, as both of you are mentioning, plus 11. Really, BDS couldn't find a single opener, even seeing Shaiko going negative, -1 for Shaiko. That's incredible for the top-rated player in like 7 different stats here at the Invitational. But from Chalet, we headed to Clubhouse. As you mentioned, Demo, and BDS kept up with the same bans that they've been having throughout this series of the Ying and the Azami. They go in. Clubhouse is a comfort pick for BDS.
Course,
We expect this to work this way.
Yeah, naturally, you would always like to fancy BDS going on Clubhouse. Yesterday, different story. I blame Fresh. That's who I blame
agree with you.
for that happening yesterday. Always blame Fresh. But again, I think BDS, they were a lot more comfortable here. You know, Renchi, like you mentioned, Ollie, he loved that map so much. He was alive after that third round. I think that big kind of clutch where maybe Laguna should have won at the shotgun, but he didn't. At that moment, that's whenever I think the game just came in the arms of BDS and they were able to clean it up from there.
You could see how confident BDS were on this map as well. There was occasions where Leaky Fact was inside of Church and Arsenal, and the defenders had become the attackers in the first sort of 50 seconds of the round. BDS are just so quick to move on this map, so quick to take advantage, and so good to use that space. And we saw really good pop-off moments from a number of different players on there. Again, Shaiko didn't really set the world on fire, but honestly, that's what this BDS team needs. They don't want to be relying on Shaiko to hypercarry every single time. And we commented on it on Chalet, and it's a running theme throughout all 3 of these maps, that Shaiko, he isn't at the top of the leaderboard. In fact, he's nearer to the bottom. And it's other players like your Renshiros, like your Leaky Facts, like your LMs, that are all stepping up and getting more of those kills that you would expect usually go to Shaiko.
In fact, the perfect player to enter this team since Bride. You need somebody to back Shaiko up. It cannot be a one-man show, and we see it not just in EUL, but even here at the Invitational on our scoreboard. Now, map 3 was Theme Park. It was also a 7-4 for BDS. 3-3 at the half with an attack starting side for BDS is a very respectable start.
Yeah, I think BDS eased into the game. I think as time got on, they grew into the matchup. I think that momentum from the second game, Ollie's theory about if you win the second map, you almost certainly win the third is once again coming true. Liquid on the attacks for me, they're struggling with basic stuff. They're struggling getting walls open. If you can't get walls open on the Armory throne, come on, they're struggling with impact tricks. So many things are kind of going wrong in terms of the Liquid cap just on basics alone.
And you talk about emotions and stuff like that, you could really see the heads dip on the side of Liquid, and it just rose from the start, really, from BDS. It started a little bit timid over on that first Chalet, and then after Clubhouse, the confidence just started to soar. And we were a little bit dubious of the maps going into this one as well. We were a bit cautious of the map veto, and it was one of those occasions where it did look like it favoured BDS in the end. Again, looking at the scoreboard here, we've got Shaiko at 9 and 7, +2. That's not really his usual standard, but it was a fairly low kill game overall. Renchi, top of the pops over on the Liquid side. Nesk did have a little bit of a better game here, but it was by no way enough to catch up to BDS.
So who was our MVP for this matchup? I would be very surprised if it's Shaiko. That would be rigged at that point. I think it's very fair to say that. So bring it up on the screen. Show me the money, as they say, because teams so far have collected a decent chunk of cash. It's Likefak. I'm not surprised, but looking at these 3 maps, it seemed like it was an equal footing from all the players of BDS, all participating. Honestly, you could have put Renshiro there instead of Likefak. It would also been a correct answer, at least subjectively to me.
Yeah, EFAC not having the greatest of tournaments in terms of what we expected from him, because whenever he joined this team, he set the world on fire and the standards he set. And because he's so good in the standards, we've seen him do it week in, week out inside of VUL, then we see him do it at the major. We hold this guy to such high regard. So even like not a good performance for EFAC is actually amazing for someone else. That's just how good he is, but it's good to see him back in it again. And hopefully this can build a bit of momentum for him then. If he's back to his old ways, BDS, that lower bracket run could be theirs. It could be.
It really could. He's one of the more flexible players on BDS as well at the moment. You know, I know that there was a graphic brought up earlier on in the week about Shaiko basically playing Iana all the time, and then he picked onto Ashe as a bit of an exotic choice. And he did exactly the same in this series. You know, it was the same sort of picks. And you get Leakyfac, and he's all over the pitch. He's a quality midfield player, as it were. He's putting in the yards. Really
box to box, that's it,
and that's what you want to see from a player like Leakyfac, and well deserved. You know, I think for me, the best team has won today without a shadow of a doubt. BDS put in that full team performance.
So here is what our bracket looks like so far in the day. We're halfway through our day of playoffs. So hey, here's the bracket. I am the bracket.
He makes the bracket, everyone.
No, I definitely don't. This is not a one-man show. In the lower bracket, it looks as it does. I have myopia. I need to look as close as I can. There it is. Space Station taking down Heroic 2-0. They'll be facing off against M80 in just a bit, actually. Dark Zero go up against G2. Lost 1 against Astralis, who we just saw taking down Sonics. And finally, an all-EU bout, M&M versus BDS. Reminder, at the top of the board who are not playing today are OXG, Wolves, Koi, and W7M. They will be playing tomorrow, but those teams are guaranteed a spot on the main stage. For those that are watching that'll be with us in Laval come Friday, you'll get to see them all, which I am very excited about. But that was the first half of our day. Ollie, Demo, thanks so very much for being on the desk with me. That's my part of the day done and dusted. Jackie will be back on here, take you through the rest of it all. Peace out. See you in a few minutes.